Okay, Rob, I think we're live.
Well,
Welcome.
greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse. Welcome. It's been a while. It's been a month since we've done the last member chat, which I apologize for.
It's been a while. So
we did one back in August, but we're going to try and get back on the bi-weekly tip.
Get back on the calendar.
Get back on the calendar. This is, of course, a member chat for those members of this channel, which, as John Campy would say, thank you for continually supporting this channel.
Yeah.
And we're going to see more content. By the way, speaking of more content, Roberto,
I'm
waiting for a show. I'm waiting for a show, buddy.
I know.
Our long in development Spanish show.
It is in development. It's coming. I've had an incredibly busy time at work right now. Where
I know. I'm not giving you. I mean, people are still waiting for me to finish the film festival. And that's been 2 years. You're going to get around to that.
If I could, Rob, if I could do this full time, I'd be doing this full time. Believe me, it's just one of those things.
I got the side hustle too.
Yeah.
By the way, Fernando Barrero. Fernando is in the chat. Fernando. He asked just on Let's Get Physical Media about Taylor Hackford's movie Blood In, Blood Out. In case he didn't see this, Fernando, Blood In, Blood Out is available in its 3-hour form on YouTube. Just punch in Blood In, Blood Out 4K. It will take you to the full film, and you can watch the whole thing. It looks pretty damn good. It doesn't look as good as it would look if they took it off a print or a negative. But
yeah, it's crazy how it's not available in any format.
Well, I've got the DVD.
You do,
but it's way out of print.
Right.
Way out of print.
All right, Rob, I think we're ready to let our members in. Just gonna go ahead and hit the admit all button. I know you like to see the cascade of members jumping in. So here we go. We're gonna admit everybody.
I love seeing everyone come in. Well, hello there.
Welcome, friends. Welcome, everybody. Oh, we got a couple of more admits here. Let's see.
Friends, Romans,
Veins,
countrymen, lend me your ears.
And I already see folks raising their hands. So yeah, just wanted to give everybody a heads up. Go ahead and raise your hand with the reactions feature in Zoom, so you can go ahead and get on the queue, and we can get your questions lined up for Rob. And I know, Rob, I think you're gonna go see a movie this afternoon, aren't you?
Tonight, yeah, I am. I'm gonna go see Don't Worry, Darling or Avatar. To be honest,
let me switch to speaker view here so we can get everybody on screen. And I'll go ahead and move this out of the way. And so it'll be about, I usually time it around 10 minutes per participant, just so that everybody gets a chance to chat. So gonna go ahead and get things started with Julian Mushkin.
Mr. Mushkin.
You should be able to unmute now, Julian.
Oh, hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing well.
Awesome.
It's good to be back here. I've, just doing another Let's Get Physical Media. Now, after this, I'm going to do I got to prep the new Designing Hollywood podcast to drop tomorrow.
All right. I was watching last night's Musing this morning. Very entertaining, always.
I thought that was a good show. I like that show. And we didn't get to talk about, threesomes and squirting, but hey, it was still a good show.
I wasn't able, I had to turn it off while you were talking to Paulie from Latino Slant, because I had to take care of some honeydews. But I was wondering, and maybe it was already, I know that Stubble, and I see he's here today, that he had sent a super chat in last night, and he was talking about how the events in the flashbacks were taking place during the Clone Wars. And so it seemed like I wasn't sure if you had caught what he was saying quite well in that. But the events on Kasari in the flashback, that strip mine, that's all pre-Empire.
Okay.
Yeah, the crew of that ship that crashes are wearing separatist patches.
Right.
But
okay.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking is my thoughts are that because what is it, Maiva? Is that Maiva? His stepmother
Sister.
for all. Yeah.
Oh, stepmother. Okay.
Yeah. The gal who takes her.
Yeah.
Marva. That's it.
Marva.
She knew that they needed to have masks when they went to that crash, as we see in that third episode.
Yep.
And she says, and of course B2 says, oh, there's a Republic frigate in orbit, and she's like, we got to get the hell out of here or they're going to kill us. She knows that something was going on. Why is there a Republic frigate there, and why would she just assume that they were going to kill, Cassian?
Yeah.
So I think that the Republic was up to no good. It's a possibility that they were trying to cover up that accident.
That's interesting.
On the planet, which, of course, later on, as the Republic becomes the Empire, of course, all the history books are going to say, well, there was this accident and the Empire had to close it off because. But yes, it's important that they hide the fact that he's from there because the Empire, Red Republic, at that point, doesn't want anybody to know what happened on that planet.
That is fascinating.
I'm thinking that accident, the strip mining, was the Republic trying to do mining stuff for the war, but of course all the guilds joined the Separatists.
Yeah.
So they were probably trying to do mining stuff that they had no technical know-how on doing and caused some sort of a screw-up.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how important that is to the overall story, but it may explain why early on, that when Cassian finds out exactly what happened or is told by Marva what she thinks happened, that's why he can go, hey, I've been fighting this war since I was 6 years old, because Republic, Empire, it doesn't make a difference to him. It's the same.
Right. So, very interesting. That is a very, I'm sure that's interesting. Hey, by the way, I just want to point out that Channel Surf, he tasks me, and I shall have him. Channel Surf in the background of his video has the one thing in life I would trade everything that I own for. All of this. It can all go if I could have a full-size Robbie the Robot. That, because you can get them. You can buy them.
That's sweet.
But and what I own is worth a lot more than that Robbie the Robot, collectively speaking. But still, I want that. One day when I have a home theater, I'm going to buy that Robbie the Robot, and it's going to be right off the screen. That's a Grail piece right there. I just want to say
that is sweet.
Hey, Julian, just a quick note that in some of the Star Wars novels that came out around the time of Rogue One, Cassian was supposed to be from a separatist planet.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that was quite well known that he was involved with the separatists. So it makes sense that his antipathy towards the Empire has been there for a long time.
Yeah. Very interesting, Julian. That is a good get. I wonder how, and I could see, I don't think you're overanalyzing it. I think you might definitely very much be onto something. So, quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, maybe we'll find out. Maybe not. But,
I think we will.
Yeah. Well, there's my 2 cents.
It's a good 2 cents. How are things with you? How are things with the family?
They're excellent. They are just excellent.
Good to hear. Is there anything you're looking forward to seeing? Have you seen anything recently? Like, are you going to go see Avatar? Did you see Barbarian? Did you see Top Gun for the 87th time?
No, I only saw Top Gun once, but man, that was awesome. I am looking forward to. What am I looking forward to? I can't remember now.
Are you watching House of the Dragon?
No, I don't have. No, I'm not, because I never was a big Game of Thrones guy.
Sure.
Never watched any of this stuff.
What?
So.
Well, House of the Dragon is a prequel, and you can watch it without knowing anything about Game of Thrones, and it'll get you into Game of Thrones.
I know. I actually started watching Barry.
Oh, that's good. Barry's good.
That's good.
Yeah. I love how I made the realization that it was kind of along the same lines as Dexter.
Yes.
in which the pressure just keeps on building, where all these things keep on happening. He's like, I've got to save myself. I've got to hide this. I've got to hide this. And he'll do anything it takes to hide what he has to hide. So that tension is quite unbearable.
It's good stuff, though.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good to see you.
Yeah. All right. Take it easy, man.
All right, dude. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member.
Right. Cheers.
Cinemike. Are you Cinemike next?
Sorry, Rob. Yes, Cinemike is next. I did have a question for you since you brought up House of the Dragon being a prequel.
Yes.
So the one thing that is kind of interesting to me is that they keep referring to the Legend of the Prince that was promised.
Yes.
And we already know kind of how that played out, so it's like not that exciting to think about that. I'm wondering if that is still to be played out in the Jon Snow series.
Oh, I think it might very well be. I think you're onto something there.
I think that this prophecy still hasn't been resolved.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I'm really loving House of the Dragon and knowing where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it gets pretty insane.
Right.
I'm curious to see how they're going to, because I mean, there's enough stuff that they could keep this going, but I think that the way that the show is, the quick pace, there's so many different things that happen, but I hope they keep the quick pace and like they do 3 seasons and they're out.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think this will sustain for 8 seasons.
Especially, from what I've read in the in that history book that covers these period, they're going pretty far into it already. So
right, yeah, and it's going to be rapid fire, and after all this, I mean, things go to shit pretty quickly.
Yeah. Hey, I want to just point out Duncan Z became a member. Just want to highlight that.
Oh, thank you, Duncan. Appreciate that.
Mikey Lito gifted a membership, a 1-month membership to Deutcash. So congratulations to Deutcash for that.
Thank you, Mikey, for that.
Another new member, Yash Sirvastava. Welcome, Yash.
All right.
And a couple of super chats, all involving the dogs. Tallulah just a story to tell, and felt just had a story to tell and felt left out, as he or she or binary is not a person. And V says only talking about the barking. So thanks for the super chats there.
Yeah, it's funny. Tallulah, I wouldn't say we rescued her, but she was bred on an Amish farm in Pennsylvania. And the first couple of months of her life, she was in a barn. And so our theory is she had to bark whenever she was hungry because she was not overseen a lot. Mm-hmm. And the reason she has one volume of bark, and that is at ear-splitting levels, is because she's actually a very sweet dog, and she doesn't bark all the time, but she is when she wants your attention, are very communicative. She's very communicative. Mm-hmm. But she barks and barks and barks and barks and barks until she gets what she wants. And we've tried to tone that down. And someone said surgically, maybe I don't want to have her. I wouldn't take out her. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
She's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. And,
she was trained, professionally trained. And she actually is a very obedient, sweet dog. It's just her bark's insane. And I love it when people are like, you should put your dogs away when you're, I'm like, does that come from a person who doesn't own a dog? Mm-hmm. I have 3 big dogs. I'd love to see you try and put them away when they know where you are. When they're part of your family, there's places they get to go. You can't say no, you can't go here. They're great dogs. And they're part of the show, god damn it.
They're part of the family.
That's right.
And Cinemike is also part of the family, and you should be able to unmute now, Mike.
What's up, dude?
Hello, Rob.
How are things in your neck of the woods? Tell people where your neck of the woods is.
Yes, I am from the Philippines, and there's actually a typhoon here right now.
Oh, wow.
So it's been raining here for like the past 12 hours.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah, it's been raining here nonstop.
We need that here in California. We could use a typhoon.
But it is set to last for a few more hours until it goes to the sea. So yeah. but anyways, it's been a while, I guess, since we last spoke. It's been months, and the last time I spoke to you here, I said that during that time I recently opened a channel on YouTube.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
How's that going?
And it's been doing more than I expected. It's been really doing well. Like during that time, I think I was like a week, like it was a week old, and I only had like 2 videos, I think. But now I have like 30 videos, and I have like hundreds of subscribers now, to my surprise, and thousands of views for majority of the videos, which is I didn't expect. And
That's great.
and I have also decided to venture into more types of videos, because previously I focused on fast food toys, unboxing. But
I know. I love that you did that, because
Yeah.
that kind of specificity is what you get you your audience.
yeah, it's very niche, and I decided I actually changed the channel a bit to expand more. Like I am now going to do more types of videos. Like I'm gonna also do videos like comic books, like the latest comic books that I bought. Like I will showcase them.
Yeah.
Or, since I collect Criterion discs, so if ever there's a new arrival, I will feature them. Funko Pop. So yeah, I'm basically expanding into other things that I also collect.
Are you collecting 4K Criterion discs?
Oh, I only have DVD. I don't have a Blu-ray or 4K player.
Okay.
I can only do DVD, which can play multiple regions. So
Yeah, I mean
is
that,
all.
but that's cool. I mean, DVD is still the largest physical media format in the world.
Yeah, and it's still everywhere.
Yeah.
But so I've been watching a lot of besides all the collection stuff, I've been also watching a lot of movies and shows, because that's me. The most recent movie I watched is Bodies.
Oh, do you like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's a fresh take on the slasher genre. Yeah, great cast, with Amanda Stenberg, if I pronounce her name right, and there's Maria Bakalova, who you all remember played Borat's daughter in the Borat sequel. And she's great. Then there's Rachel Sennott, who was in Shiva Baby. She's also for me, she's like the MVP here. Then there's Lee Pace and Pete Davidson. So, and it's a great film. I really like it a lot. Then I also watch I've also been watching other films, but some of them I didn't like I think the worst movie that I think I've seen so far this year, I think it will go to the Pinocchio live action film by Disney. Yeah, like what the hell was Robert Zemeckis doing with that movie?
Why did you dislike it so much?
First of all, early on in the movie, they showed this is the part that lost me, and it happened very early on in the movie. So there's the part where they showed like an Easter egg on the clocks, and then they showed those different Disney characters, like with Maleficent, with Woody, which is obviously a Tom Hanks character who's in the movie. Like that bothered me, because I was like, because here's the thing, in the other Disney films or even in Pixar, they will do Easter eggs, and they're fun because they're mostly in the background. They're subtle. You won't notice them unless someone in Twitter will point it out, or there's a YouTube video that explains the Easter eggs. But this one, it's in different close-ups, so it's very noticeable. So it that part lost me early.
It was
on.
product placement for Disney in a Disney movie.
Yeah, and then later on, with I think the name of the fox is Honest Joe, right? Like he said, like influencer. Like he used that.
Yeah.
Then he made the Chris Pine joke. I was like, come on, that lost me. And then the third act was I don't know what was that, with the entire whale action suddenly became like some sort of action. I don't know. And then the ending was very awkward. It felt abrupt. It's so there's a lot of mistakes made creatively in this film. Yeah, and I think that the saving grace is the cast because they tried their best with what was given to them. Like I like saying Tom Hanks as Geppetto, but I mean, yeah, it's just bad. I didn't like it.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I was very disappointed by it as well.
yeah, that was yeah, and because before that I thought the worst movie this year was Moonfall. I also did it, but I think Pinocchio, like so far I'm giving it the title it's because it was wrong in so many ways that, yeah, you know what I mean. It's just awful, and also it's also very unfortunate because Robert Zemeckis is that. I mean, we know that he's a great director. I mean, Back to the Future, Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
He created some of the best. But then, he is far away from his apex now. Like for the last several years or maybe decades, he hasn't really made like an actual like wonderful film. Maybe since Castaway, maybe that is the last film that he made that it is. Although I like Flight with Denzel Washington,
I did too. I liked it a lot.
Although if we're talking about like a great like classic that he made, maybe Castaway was the last one that he made. Then since then he has been experimental a bit on CGI or 3D or VFX, or he would just do it's also unfortunate that someone like him now at this point that he would just make this I guess cash grab, or I don't know, whatever you call that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see. Look, I mean, everybody, I love Robert Zemeckis, and
Yeah.
he's made some great films, but sometimes you lose perspective.
Yeah.
I think.
Although fortunately for the rest of the year, there's gonna be a lot of great films.
Yeah.
That I'm excited. I mean, my most anticipated film is Babylon by Damien Chazelle because
Oh my God, it looks incredible.
yeah, I mean, first of all, La La Land is my favorite movie of all time. And I love First Man. I love Whiplash. He hasn't made a bad or
No.
even mediocre movie or just an okay movie for me. I think all of them are great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Babylon. I'm also looking for The Fablemans because of course Spielberg and
No, I mean that looks incredible.
and the TIFF reviews are incredible, which is great. And I can't wait. Like the part that excites me the most is because David Lynch has a cameo in the movie.
I as like his uncle. I love that. I think that's so. It's getting great notices. I can't wait to see it. I think it's probably going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward just because of the reviews. Women Talking by Sarah Polley.
Yep.
She's getting a lot of great buzz. Her comeback in the narrative feature film since it's been like 10 years since she last directed the movie. Like a narrative film. Then I'm also looking forward to Glass Onion, and then
that did you watch the trailer, the clip where everybody gets the puzzle box for Glass?
I saw that. Yeah, in the Tudum event.
I mean, the actors are so great. I can't wait to see Glass Onion.
I'm looking forward. Then there are also some films like even though they got mixed reviews like Bardo. I mean, it got divisive reviews. Like I don't know if the reviews that some of them are brutal.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll go. There's a filmmaker. I'll always watch his films no matter what.
Yeah, and although I'm still looking for because it's Iñárritu and he's great. Then I'm also looking forward to I forgot. Like there's more films like Empire of Light by Sam Mendes.
Yep.
Which is
again
also
another movie. Yeah.
Another movie about childhood and love of cinema. We're getting a lot of movies like that this year. Apparently, I think there's like 4. For The Fablemans, Bardo, Armageddon Time, of course, James Greig, then Empire of Light. So we're in the year where filmmakers are making their semi-biographical movies and their tribute to cinema. Which coincidentally they're all in the same year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to those. Then also some like The Whale because I want to see like everybody saying like Brendan Fraser's gonna win an Oscar Like he's like, if not the front runner, but he's like, he will get an Oscar for this. I'm like, wow, okay. I was looking forward to Tar with Todd Field, who is also making his comeback. After I think his last film was Little Children, like the last film that he made.
Wow, and what a great movie that is.
Yeah, and also In the Bedroom, and
Yep.
that movie is very memorable to me only because they back in college they made us watch that movie, and then for an acting class we have to recreate a scene from In the Bedroom. The scene between Marisa Tomei and Cece Spacek. Then when Marisa Tomei apologized to Cece Spacek, then she slapped Marisa Tomei there. Like they made us reenact that scene in acting class, so that movie will always be memorable to me. In the Bedroom. Yeah, the main circuit, and it's so yeah, there's a lot of great films for the rest of the year, and of course the blockbusters like Black Panther 2 and other, and I guess Black Adam, although just like you, the trailers are just meh.
I don't quite understand what it is we're going to be getting with Black Adam. I don't know why I'm supposed to watch it yet, but
although I will watch it, but then it's not exciting me like Black Panther 2. Like okay, fine, Dwayne Johnson. I mean, yeah, he's cool. Yeah, I mean, hooray! I guess that we have the GSA. Then there's the Amanda Waller, which to be honest, that part excites me. That Viola Davis is there.
Oh yeah, and if people are leaking pictures. People are leaking pictures saying Henry Cavill's in the movie as Superman. I can't speak to that. I've not heard that, but hey, I could see it happening. Why not? Why not?
Hey, thanks, Cinemite. Thanks for the overview of all the movies coming out. Sorry, we got to move on to our next speaker here, which is Stubble McShave. Stubble, you should be able to unmute now.
What's going on, dude?
Oh, hold on. Stubble, are you there?
We can't hear you.
We can't hear. There we go.
There we go. We got to hear it.
I didn't get the things so I could unmute. But
unmute.
Unmute. So, how's it going?
Going well. I have put your books that you gave me. Thank you so much for that package. Now I got now all three of the first Wheel of Time books. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I thought that if you wanted to, you could read books 2 and 3 because they're going to adapt those two into season 2.
Yeah,
they change a lot, so you can see what the story.
is supposed to be. And I'm interested. I'm going to read those. You know, it's funny. I kind of like now getting a little bit more information. Like I went back and I read the whole Dance of the Dragons section in Fire and Blood, or Blood and Fire, for Thrones, just because I wanted to see what I kind of like that. I kind of like the fact that I know where this story's. I mean, we know where it ends.
Open up your
the dragons are, but it's an interesting story. It's certainly going to be action packed and fun to watch. Right.
Anyway, the other day you had a discussion about watermelons on the Young Champion show, and the most funny thing was that Ray thought that you were talking about watermelons.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we're kind of off the rails. You know, I laughed harder on Friday on the John Campea show than I think I've ever laughed in my adult life. I mean, some of the things that are said on that show, I could never get away with saying. I mean, when we first started getting sponsors, they would complain that I would make body jokes that were column, sexually suggestive jokes being on a show with Chris and Amy. But now I've realized I don't have to make those jokes anymore. They make the jokes, and they're far worse than jokes I could make. Yeah. And Amy she just killed me. Yeah. But yeah, the whole thing, it's all hilarious.
Yeah. Anyway, I very much enjoy Andor so far.
I do too. I'm really loving it.
Yeah, they've taken the fairy tale out of it and replaced it with realism.
Yeah.
So it's a sci-fi show through and through now, more or less.
No, I completely agree, and I think that I think it's funny because people have to acclimate to what kind of show it is. And I think that the episodes 3, 4, and 5 are going to be more along the lines of what people want to see in their Star Wars. We go to Coruscant, we meet Mon Mothma. There's a lot more, but I've loved what they've done. I think it was a mistake that they made 3 episodes, because clearly the first 90 minutes of Andor was shot as one long movie. It was one production. It's not being written as an episodic show. They're probably taking, there's four scripts that they're turning into 90-minute movies. I think they should just have released them that way. I mean, the funny thing about it is, from the way it's made, from the writing, the cinematography, the direction, Andor is so far above the previous Disney Star Wars shows. I mean, I like The Mandalorian, but it's, for the most part, fairly lightweight. It's an extension of their animated shows, which is fine. But Andor is something new unto itself, and I love the fact that it takes its time, and we're going to see a really interesting, because we're seeing not just Cassian Andor, but we're seeing that other character who's going to probably end up being an Imperial officer. They're both, you have the juxtaposition of one guy is going to end up founding the rebellion, and this other guy is probably going to become a ruthless Imperial officer, and I kind of like what they're doing there.
Yeah, and I just hope that in episode 7 or 8 that we don't get into a bar and see sliced noodles or something like that.
Right.
That they keep the serious tone and don't go into the what you call the Muppet.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think Tony Gilroy would allow that to happen.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, I was wondering, because I sent a Twitter to you a few weeks ago, I think, about the figure Kickstarter that Sanderson did. That.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
How is
up
it?
to 2.4. It's at 2.4 million right about now, and I was wondering, how is that compared to other figures? Because I have no idea how big.
Well, it's interesting. Okay, that's a really interesting question. Now, the last time I donated to a Kickstarter for figures was for the Prisoner action figures, and I'm curious. Let's see. What's the Prisoner? Okay, project update. Let me look at this. So, these were the very first Prisoner action figures, and the Prisoner of this TV show, it had 2,029 backers, and they pledged $210,000 to make this happen.
So it's more than 10 times bigger.
More than 10 times bigger. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I get a perspective, because I have no idea about these things. But I think it's because he's Sanderson is very fan oriented.
Right.
So if he's working on 3 books in 3 different series at the same time, he's writing one, he's doing the post work on one, and so on. Then he has a percentage meter on how far he is in the process, and he updates it every week. So people see, he's halfway through the second what do you call it? I don't find the word right now. But anyway, so it's very interactive, and has a weekly, YouTube podcast. He's interacting with fans all the time. So he builds that audience. So it's more or less a small empire now.
Right. Which is amazing. I mean, and look, I think what Brandon Sanderson has done is the future of, I mean, obviously you have to have, what did he end up doing on his books? 40 million plus?
Yeah, 42, I think.
So he wrote 4 books
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and then he's going to print them himself, and he made 4.
He wrote 4 other than the ones he had planned already.
Right.
So the others he releases traditionally, but then he did those 4 on Kickstarter.
So he's going direct to his fans, and he made $42 million. I mean, that's game changing.
Yeah.
Like, and we're seeing more of this, like Young Ripa's, for his Ripaverse comic, that he He spent $100,000 of his own money to create a 96-page graphic novel. Then he went online and he's made millions of dollars as well.
Yeah.
And I more power to creatives. I mean, you're going direct to consumer. It's funny. That's what all the studios want to do. They want to go direct to consumer with their movies through streaming. I mean, I think that's the way to be.
Yeah. And as I understand, because I don't want to focus too much on this, but anyway, after the Kickstarter, the big Kickstarter, all the Hollywood people came with the hats in their hands and said, please, 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 can we work with you? So the next book has been postponed by almost a year because he's working on different series that's coming in a few years ago, I think. So,
you mean different TV shows or things that Hollywood wanted him to do?
Right.
I mean, I can see that.
Yeah.
And
I think he's managed to secure control over all those things as well. A significant control, not total control. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what all creators want. You're cutting out the middleman. Of course, he's a very famous author, and he has obviously a built-in fan base. Yeah. But I think that's the future, and the fact that you can access the planet. The internet allows you to access the entire world, and anybody can support your work. I mean, I think obviously it's not going to work for every creator because people have to know that you're out there. But I think if you're able to do what he did, I mean, he could never. How many books would he have to sell to make $42 million? I mean, I can't through a publisher.
I have no idea.
There's no way. With advances, I mean, the kind of money he made for 4 books, you're looking at $10 million a book. I mean, obviously, let's take away what YouTube takes of that. I mean, I think that they sum either 10% or something, but even so, I mean, that's an enormous amount of money, and what a great thing for him as a creator. I mean, I think that's the way to be. I wish I could make movies that way, and I think maybe at some point we can. I mean, that's kind of something that I've always looked toward, is that if you could generate, 4 or 5, Blumhouse makes movies for $5 million that get released through studios. If you could somehow figure out a way, like the Veronica Mars movie was able to generate $5 million in crowdfunding, and that was like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So if you could do something like that and keep that going, I mean, that would be a great way to make films. Yeah. But that's harder to do.
Yeah, and going back to Andor just for a minute before I'm cut off here, looking at you, Roberto. So I think that Stellan Skarsgård and Fiona Shaw was absolutely wonderful in the Andor series.
Oh, they were so good.
Yeah,
so good.
And I think he will have the mentor role, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that he will kick it. He will die in the end of season 1. I think.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he will sacrifice himself to maybe save Andor or do something other heroic act. And
I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
100%.
But it's a great role, and it's a great portrayal of that role, and it has great potential, the series.
Yep, I think so too.
I hope it's good. I hope we won't see Sliced Noodles or anyone else of those.
I don't think we're going to see the Rebo Band or Sliced Noodles. I don't think we will.
Yeah.
We're apparently gonna see a tree filled with what's the little guy next to Jabba the Hutt?
Oh, Salacious
Crumb. At one point in a trailer, they showed a tree covered with Salacious Crumb creatures.
I'd go for that.
And if you just compare to Boba Fett, what do you call it? The Major Domo, the Twi'lek,
Bib Fortuna.
Not him.
Oh no, not Bib Fortuna.
The new Twi'lek Major Domo.
Yeah.
He was so out of place in that show.
Oh
Apologies.
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Anyway, I think my time is up here.
Yeah, thank you, Stubble. Thank you so much. Yeah. Good to see you. Hey, Rob, I was wondering regarding Andor. I'm starting to get a sense that maybe some of the inspiration comes from Les Miserables. I'm getting a Javert Valjean kind of thing going on.
I think that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Javert and absolutely 100%.
Totally.
I totally agree with you.
All right, Jeff Bingham is coming up. You should be able to unmute now, Jeff.
Hello.
What's up, dude?
Not much. You already know that I had been working on a screenplay just for fun.
Yep. Erotic thriller.
Yep. I had it submitted for professional feedback, and pretty much as you expect, not that good. Obviously.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is about the professional feedback is that, on one hand, I do get a lot of complaints. Because I guess there was a lot that I wanted to put in to the script because I had a lot of ideas, but I guess I can understand why that could lead to it perhaps getting a little over bloated.
Yeah.
That tends to happen a lot, right? At least when you're doing it first.
The thing about writing a screenplay, what a lot of people don't, it's really hard because when you're writing something, a screenplay is more akin, it's prose. And what a screenplay is really a blueprint for a movie. And a lot of what you want to put into a film is a visual medium that you have to start thinking in terms of metaphor. And like the whatever you're trying to get across, you have to figure out how visually can I do this? What is the visual equivalent of me telling you what I want in this particular scene? And that's a very hard thing to do. That's why, look, when I was reading screenplays for a living in the mid 90s, for years I was reading screenplays. 99% of them were terrible. And, it's everybody's saying, oh, I'm gonna sell this movie. One, they were variations on movies that had already come out. Oh, this is saleable. I'm gonna write another iteration of Die Hard. It'll be Die Hard. My favorite is the joke. It's Die Hard in a building. So, but I think that's the real problem is that screenwriting, great screenwriting is an art form. And it is a very specific art form, and it's a very difficult art form to master. And it's different than, say, writing a book, because what you're doing is you're writing something specifically to be translated into a verbal medium. Screenplays have to work as a piece of literature. You have to be able to read them, and you have to convey the story and explain what it is. And it also has to conjure up, you have to visually see the story in your mind's eye. But then at the same time, that screenplay is then going to be completely translated into a different medium. So you're writing a piece of literature that is by design never meant to be experienced by the audience as a piece of literature. A screenplay is designed to be people that make movies. It's designed for them to be able to read the screenplay and see the movie that they're going to eventually make. And it's really difficult to understand that. You have to understand that your writing, as good as it can be, doesn't matter. All that matters is that your writing can conjure up in the minds of people that are eventually going to make a movie what that movie is. And so it's a kind of an esoteric concept, but if the people that actually, unless you're going to write and direct your own movie, which is fine, but even then, if you're going to write and direct your own movie, you have to put on your director's cap, and when you're reading the script, going, how would I translate this scene into a movie? Because a screenplay it is entirely useless if it doesn't convey what a potential movie from that screenplay is going to look like in the mind's eye. If you can't picture what's going on in your head, when I say picture it, when you're reading a screenplay, if you don't see a variation of this movie in your head, the screenplay's bad. And that's a test that you can apply to the first. People say you got to give a screenplay 10 pages. I'm like, no, you give it one. You can tell. I can tell if somebody's a great screenwriter by reading the first page. And how you do that is, do you see the movie? Does it feel real? Is the dialogue interesting? And that is the key. And it's hard to do. It's not something that is even veteran screenwriters rewrite. So I admire that you did it.
Yeah.
How much did you pay for your professional feedback?
Probably more than I should have. It's based on what I found to be like available, but I think maybe in hindsight, I probably should have had like friends just look it over for free.
Yeah.
And also, not to mention, take their own time with it, because it was sort of feedback designed to be given back within a time frame. And one of the things that I noticed is that they did end up writing a synopsis of the movie for me, but I think because it was kind of like a rushed read through, they picked out like random moments from the script. It felt like just like that line from that Papyrus trailer from SNL, the thoughtless child walking through a garden, yanking leaves along the way sort of thing. It felt like they were just taking out random moments and putting them into a synopsis. And I mean, it does. I mean, obviously I can rework it. If I wanted to write out a synopsis, I can just rework what I wrote. But I think it probably would have been more beneficial to have someone who had the time to actually read through it first, and that instead of hiring a professional.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
do it in a condensed time frame.
Yeah, and the thing is, dude, writing screenplays is really hard. I've been revisiting. I'm working on a couple myself now, and I revisited a script that I wrote back in 2002 that I wanted to be my follow-up. It was an adaptation of a book that I read it now, and it actually works better now than it even worked back then. And I've sort of been reworking it, and I gave it to some people to read. I got some really helpful feedback on it, and I want to make it, but it's rough. It's a really hard format to crack. And I think one of the reasons a lot of screenplays are so terrible is that the people that are writing them have never worked on movies. So they don't understand what a screenplay is actually for and how it works for the people. You're writing a screenplay that you eventually want to be read by people that make movies for a living. And if you don't know anything about making movies and you're trying to write a screenplay and you've read Sid Field's books about structure, or you've read Blake Snyder's Save the Cat, or whatever books you're reading about writing screenplays, you still are. If you've never worked in the movie business and you don't know anybody that's made a movie, it's funny that people write screenplays. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it's like you're trying to write an instruction manual for something that you've never actually used yourself, other than watch it. But making a movie is very different than watching a movie. And everybody's watched movies, so everybody thinks they can write screenplays. But if you have no understanding about how a movie is actually made, it's tough. But I admire that you went and did it. I mean, you wrote a whole screenplay. You know how many people in Hollywood who work in the business say they're going to write a screenplay and never do? You actually did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Although I guess one of the last things I want to say in the matter is, because it's in a rock thriller, there's obviously a lot of sexual content involved, and I got the obvious criticism of male gaze, and I mean, and because the thing is, you were talking about how, when you're writing, you want to, I guess, I did almost kind of write it from the perspective of the hypothetical scenario that I would direct it, and so I did write nudity in the scripts from a practical standpoint of thinking that there would be nudity in this particular instance. But if I were the director of the movie, I would not film all the nudity explicitly.
Right,
I mean?
Of course. Well, it's interesting if somebody's complaining about the male gaze. I think that's a ridiculous thing to say because you're a man. You're writing the screenplay from, I don't know who your protagonist is, but this whole
it's two female protagonists who fall in lust with each other.
Oh, okay. Well, then I can understand. I mean,
but I did get feedback on how to write the sex scene from a woman, actually.
Oh, well, that's okay. I mean, I think, look, the problem is, if you're going to write a movie, like the Wachowskis had an interesting perspective when they wrote Bound.
Though the sex scene wasn't written out in detail, which is why they had Susie Bright came in to choreograph it, who in a way is kind of like the intimacy coordinator before that term was even a thing.
Well, yeah, but you mean on Bound?
Yeah, I'm bound.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Susie Bright is she's been a sex worker. She wrote about sexuality and all that. That makes sense because, it's like the difference between if you look at the sex stuff, the sex scene in House of the Dragon when Damon takes Rhaenyra to the pleasure house. I mean, that was directed by a woman. And it was less mechanical than I would expect from a male director. It was also more about feeling. It was more of a more like poetry than anything else. It's not like Rhaenyra stopped and stared at the mechanics of two people going at it, which is more of a male thing.
Oh, sorry about that. I unmuted you.
I wanted to say, because I tried to write the sex scene, like the marquee sex scene, in a similar way. Like it's not just about meager sexual stimulation, but also kind of like the general pleasure of the touch, being touched and touching the other person, so to speak.
Right. I mean, I've always thought that sex scenes work best in movies when they advance the plot. Like the sex scenes in Basic Instinct, you see in the first scene, it opens with a sex scene and there's a murder. But then when Nick Curran is hooking up with Catherine Trammell, with Sharon Stone's character, it's a suspense scene. Yeah, it's a titillating sex scene, but you wonder, is he going to get killed? Probably not, but they're playing with your expectations, so there's more going on. A lot of the time, if there's no reason to have a sex scene in a movie, it stops the plot cold. And you're watching a sex scene. It's like, okay, if it's not advancing the plot in some way, if the way characters are having sex is not doing something integral to the story that's being told, then it immediately stops your narrative momentum. And I think that's a problem. Like if you look at something like Gone Girl, when Neil Patrick Harris is going to have sex with the amazing Amy, I mean, it starts out titillating and then she cuts his throat, and it becomes, wow, I didn't expect that. Amazing Amy is a flat out straight up murderer now. But anyway, congratulations on finishing it. Well done.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Gonna jump over to Doug Salier. You should be able to unmute now, Doug.
Hello, Doug. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, I'd like to show you a few things if I can.
Yeah, is that your physical media behind you, or those books?
No, they're DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K.
Nice.
Yeah,
I was looking at that, going, all right.
Yeah, my wife got me the shelves, and so I could display them, and it's a partnership, Anyways, a few months ago. I think it was a few months ago. You were on the John Campea show, and you made a reference that nobody said anything about because I don't think they understood it. And but I understood it. You mentioned Arc 2.
Wow! Look at that.
But
wait, what is that?
It's Jason. I bought this in like 2000. It's Jason Star Command, Space Academy, and Arc 2.
Yeah. So, are those discs, or is that a?
Those are
DVDs.
They've never come out in Blu-ray or anything like that.
Wow, I love that they put all those together in one box.
Yeah. Now I don't know. Now I don't know how much they charge for it because it's out of print, right? So.
Oh yeah, man, I haven't seen those I've never seen that set. Now I'm jealous. I'm like, I want to get that. I mean, I watched all three of those shows when I was on Saturday morning TV when they were new.
Yeah. So same here with ISIS and the
Shazam
and Shazam. Yeah, I love that stuff. Now, you were mentioning about Star Trek books the other day.
Yeah.
I have a lot of the original Star Trek from James Bliss.
Yep, those are the episode adaptations.
Yeah. So I've got about 8 of those, and there's 12 of them. Unfortunately, I don't have the entire set. Do you remember photo novels?
Oh yeah, no, I have all of my photo novels.
Yeah.
What are there? 12? I think it's 12
It
photo
is
novels.
12, yeah.
I love so for those of you following along at home, photo novels were something that they became popular in the mid like 1977, pre-home video, and they would be still frames from television and movies that would tell the whole story with thought balloons that would give you the dialogue. And if you were a Star Trek fan, they were the best. Photo novels were the greatest thing in the world. Then they did a Star Trek the Motion Picture photo, the Star Trek the Wrath of Khan. That was in black and white though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did a oversized photo novels for both Alien and Outland. Those are really cool. You know, I'll tell you a funny story about. So there were photo novels I could not find, and I wrote to the company that printed them. I don't know, it was Ballantine, and they actually. I was a kid, you know. I was probably 10 when I wrote the letter, 11 or something, and they sent me a package of all the photo novels I didn't have. Like, there's a photo novel for Milos Forman's Hair, the movie Hair. They sent me that, you know, and they sent me, I think, Love at First Bite was a photo novel, and I thought that was very cool that they sent a little kid photo novels for free. But I love photo novels.
Yeah, there's Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers, I have that on my shelf right over there.
And they actually made a novel.
Yeah,
The Man from Data, untelevised episode.
man, I haven't seen that book in a long time.
Yeah, and you probably know about V. Did you know they made novels of V?
Oh yeah, the novels, and then there's a DC Comics series that ran 18 issues. Yeah.
I collected all that stuff. There's one quick thing I wanted to mention. I don't think you give Return of the Jedi enough credit. You don't even count it in the series. It seems you mentioned.
Well, look, I like the beginning, and I like the end. I like the confrontation with the Emperor in the throne room. I think that's great. I think the rest of the movie is strangely inconsequential. I mean, Han Solo and Princess Leia are, while they're battling on Andor, and they put that assault together. The middle of Return of the Jedi seems like nothing happens. Once Han Solo is rescued, and then the battle on Andor, it's like there's an hour of that movie. Like, what does the speeder bike chase mean, other than the fact that it's a speeder bike chase? And there could have been a lot more interesting stuff, I think, happening in that movie. I mean, everyone loves Return of the Jedi, and everyone's been tells me I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, when I first saw that movie, I was crushed. I was 16 years old when I saw Jedi for the first time in the theater. I was there the first midnight show in Seattle, and I'm like, when it was over, I'm like, oh, man. And it's fun. I mean, I get it. You know, there's a lot of people like John Campea. The Return of the Jedi is his favorite Star Trek or Star Wars movie. And I'm like, I respect your opinion.
I think it's because George had more of a budget for Return of the Jedi than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
Especially, like, if you look at what he wanted to do with Star Wars. It's just Star Wars to me. But what he wanted to do originally, you know, Han Solo was a green reptilian.
Yeah. Yes.
Guy, right? Like it would have been complete if he would have had any kind of budget he wanted. They're like, it could have. Oh, jeez, no, my dog. But he could have easily. Like, it could have been really, really silly. Like, if you look at what he did with the special editions and everything, it shows you what Star Wars could have been. And it's
no, and look, I'm not a fan. And I think that one of the great things in film history is that the collaborators that George Lucas was working with some of the greatest filmmakers who ever lived that were both his friends and consultants. And then he had his wife, like Marsha Lucas, an Academy Award-winning editor. Without the outside influence of those people, I don't think Star Wars would have been what it was. because I think that we've seen it. You know, the prequel trilogy shows uncut George Lucas, and we didn't want that. Yes. And if you read Rinsler's making of book about Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas was not happy about how that movie was made, and he was not there for a lot of when that movie was made. And you know, he had Irvin Kershner was his professor at USC, and so he trusted him. But even Irvin Kershner knew what he was doing, you know, and made a movie that only they had to put together the way he wanted it put together. So,
which is ironic, because for Return of the Jedi, from what I understand from Anthony Daniels' book, which is a fantastic read, by the way, it was George Lucas that basically directed that movie.
Right.
What's his name?
Richard Marquand.
Yeah. Apparently, things didn't go very well with him and the other actors, especially Anthony Daniels was not a fan. And George stayed on the set and directed a lot of it. So it's ironic that Empire, he didn't have much to do other than, you know, write and do the special effects and everything. And then you have Return of the Jedi, where, you know, it was mostly George, you know.
Yep. Yeah, and Return of the Jedi even has some really sloppy effects work in it too. I mean, they had a lot to do, but like when the Executor crashes down to the surface of the Death Star and you see the flames coming out of all that, it just doesn't look that great. You know, there's a lot of the whole sail barge scene before they fixed it was really not good. And R2 and 3PO getting picked up in the sand against that painted backdrop. There's a lot of stuff in Jedi that I'm really not a fan of.
I probably didn't notice, because 15-year-old me was just watching Princess Leia in the slave outfit. So,
right, of course.
So yep. I probably didn't notice a lot of that.
Which I'm sure George Lucas loved.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Anyways, it was great to talk to you and show you a little bit of my collection.
Yeah, you're taking me back. I mean, you got some good stuff there. Those photo novels, man, to find them in good shape are really hard to come by.
Yeah. I just love them. You know, I wish we could go back. You know, I'm stuck in the 70s and 80s, unfortunately. So
I'd love to have gotten all the episodes of Star Trek as photo novels, though.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I understand that. I mean, there was the 70s and the 80s were very formative, and I don't think that. I mean, we've had a lot of great movies since then, but there was something about the pop culture of the 70s and 80s that really resonated with the generation, and it still does. I mean, in a way, Star Wars itself is a product of 70s filmmaking, and it's ironic that I think Andor more represents the period that Star Wars was made in than any other Star Wars thing. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I'm curious.
Thank you so much, Doug. Hey, Rob, you know that those photo novels were my introduction to Star Trek. I read all of those before I ever saw an episode. we didn't get it in Puerto Rico at the time. We didn't have any Star Trek on TV, so that's how.
By the way, I want to ask you, how do you have relatives in Puerto Rico, and how are they doing?
Yeah, they're doing okay. They've been without power for over a week, so they've got generators going and stuff. Thankfully, in the area where my family lives, it hasn't been as badly hit, but there's been some areas that have been pretty badly hit. And the farm that my stepfather owns, has been pretty badly hit, but they haven't been able to assess the damage yet. So we're still learning.
Wow.
But everybody's safe, thank goodness. So
they need to
asking.
They need to make Puerto Rico a state.
We could spend hours talking about that.
I know. It would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so Hassoni Parker had been on the call and he got bumped out. So I apologize because he's kind of out of the queue, but I was keeping track of it. So Hassoni's going to come in next because he actually got bumped out earlier.
I saw that he got bumped and I was wondering what happened.
So I made sure to, I told him that I was going to put him back in the right order. So Hassoni, you should be able to chat now.
I saw that he was there.
Yes, guys. Do you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. How's it going, dude?
You guys hear me good. Robert Meyer Burnett, my favorite American. You are my favorite American.
Well, that's thank you for that. I appreciate that.
are my favorite American.
How's the comic book
good to
coming?
see you. Actually, it's really good. The third issue is finished maybe like next week.
Nice. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. They had some issues with the printing and stuff. So so next week we'll have our third issue.
Wow, that's great.
Nice. It's a crazy story, man. It's a crazy
I know.
story. I mean, the name of the third issue is Kill All Daesh. And Daesh is ISIS.
Right.
And this is like you see our main character just slaughter fucking motherfucking ISIS people.
Well, don't get on anyone's kill list. You know, you don't want to be like Solomon Rushdie and have a fatwa issued for you.
I know, Rob. So, Rob, today I want to talk about two things. One of my favorite science fiction director trilogy, and I want to show you some physical media in different forms.
Yes, lay it on me.
Yes, because I know you love this. Look at this, the Beach Boys.
Wow, what is that?
This is one of the albums from 1964, I think. It's called All Summer Long.
Wow, is that an original from 64 or is that a reprint?
Yes.
Wow, look at that. Where'd you get that?
I got it from my girlfriend's dad.
Did you steal it?
No, actually, he gave it to me.
Oh, nice.
Because I like the cover and I love Beach Boys. Come on.
Right, sure. That's really cool.
Yeah, bro. And I want to show you my only 6 scale figure. I'm not that like big.
Look
collector.
at that. Now, who made this? Where's this from?
Actually, I got it in Loot Crate. You know Loot Crate?
Oh yeah, I remember Loot Crate. Yeah.
I got it in Loot Crate actually.
Who's your favorite? Is Ben Affleck your favorite Batman?
My favorite Batman, honestly, yeah, I think it's him. Yeah.
I just got you know, for the Hot Toys Justice League Batman, it comes with a Ben Affleck a civilian head, so you can. So I bought a body, and then I bought these clothes for him. So I'm gonna have I'll have a Bruce Wayne figure.
That looks sick, man.
I know. It's like, what did you? This wasn't that much money. I mean, it's this great tailored suit. Elizabeth just looks at me when stuff like this comes in the mail, and she's like, "What is that?" I go, "Oh, they're clothes for my Bruce Wayne figure," and she just looks at me like,
"Oh my god, oh, that is so fun, man."
She's like, "You ordered clothes?" She's like, "It doesn't even come with a figure." I said, "No. I have the body. I bought the body. I've got a Fison body. Then there's a head that comes with the Hot Toys, the Batman from Justice League. So I'm going to take the head, the body that I bought, and I've got this cool." So suddenly I've got Bruce Wayne in a three-piece suit and an overcoat.
That's cool, Rob. That's so cool and fun, man. You're still the man-child, you know?
Yeah. The endless man-child.
Amazing. It's amazing. So, Rob, I'm going to show you like one of my favorite comics. It's Preacher.
Oh, it's so great. Now, is that comic in English or is it in You're in Switzerland, right? Or Sweden?
It's actually English.
It is English.
Yeah. It's so good, man. It's so good.
Yeah, that's volume 1.
So good. Yes. It's volume 1. And I got the first Superman reveal.
You got to love that. There you go.
Number 1.
Yeah, it's too bad that's not an original, though. If you had the original, you'd be a rich man.
I know, bro, but it looks
original. It's very cool.
Yeah, man. That's some cool stuff. So, Rob, as you know, I love Paul Verhoeven.
Yep.
As much as you do. You know?
Me too.
He's amazing. He's amazing. And we will never have a director like that again. And we will never see movies like that again. You know? You know, like Total Recall, RoboCop, Starship fucking Troopers.
Oh
Come on.
yeah. I mean, and you know, his interesting perspective too began in, he made incredible movies in the 70s in Holland, like Soldier of Orange, Katie Tipple,
Exactly.
Turkish Delight. And then when he made Spetters and the Fourth Man in 80 and 82, the guy was amazing.
Exactly. It's insane because that is, you know, those 3 movies is his science fiction trilogy, you know, and they are perfect. In my eyes.
And in the midst of those movies, he made Basic Instinct too, and Showgirls. All right.
Basic Instinct. I love that movie, man.
I do too.
And you have that figure, right?
Yep,
Sharon
she's
Stone,
right
right?
there. She's actually right next to Ed 209.
Okay, nice. Can you see her?
No, it is not anatomically accurate.
Okay, bro. That's a good scene, man.
It is.
That's
Just what did you
scene.
have in mind, Mr. Corelli? It's great. Did you ever tie him up?
Great movie. You know, that's actually one of Michael Douglas' best performances.
Oh, I think so too.
One of the best performances, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Michael Douglas was killing it from like 87 when he did Fatal Attraction.
Really?
And then he did in 89, he did Black Rain for Ridley Scott, and all the movies that he made. Like he had a great run. Wall Street in 86.
Wall Street.
It was great.
He was like his dad, but like a new generation of movies.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
know, like Kirk was.
100%. Yeah, totally.
Bro, I'm loving you in the John Campia show. It's so good to see you there. I mean, it's always
We're having
fun.
so much fun on John Campia, the team he put together, Amy,
I'm
Chris,
seeing that.
Jonathan, Ray. We're having so much fun doing that show.
I'm seeing that, man, and it's so fun to watch you every day, every weekend, whenever you're on. I watch them,
Well, thank you. I'm glad you dig the show. It's so much fun.
honestly, and your channel is growing. You're
Yeah, I mean, not as
almost
much. I need to get back and do more videos so it can grow more. But
Yeah,
that it's
it's
hard
like
doing 2
50,000.
videos with John, and it is tough.
Exactly. Yeah, because you work full time at John, right?
Yeah,
5 days
Yeah.
a week.
5 days a week. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay.
fun, but it's kind of brutal when I get home. I mean, I've never been. It's exhausting, you know, when you're going on. I mean, it's not like digging ditches. What I mean is that, you know, when you're thinking, you have to think on your
understand.
feet, you know, and you have to come up. You have to
The
come up with.
driving and everything.
Yeah, you have to come up with witty things
Also.
to say and stuff. And also then I
know.
drive an hour
I
there
know.
and an hour back. So it's, you know,
Exactly.
it's good
But
work
you're the
if you can get it.
funniest of them. You know that's right? You're the
What-
funniest of them.
I don't know, man. Chris Carr and Amy are pretty damn funny.
They are funny. But when you say those dirty stuff, I mean not dirty, but you're like just teasing them. It's
Yes,
so
I have to be
fucking
very
fun, man.
I have to be very
I know.
careful.
I know. But when they say something, then you can, you know, like
Yes,
like
then
when
I
you
can
laugh
that
in Friday.
yeah, Friday. Oh man, that Amy killed me. That was the funniest. I couldn't stop
That was
laughing.
so fun.
I was totally not in control of myself. It was great.
That's amazing, man. Amazing, Rob.
Well, thanks. I'm glad
So
you like
good
the
to see
show.
you, man.
Yeah,
of
it's good to
course.
see you. I'm glad. You know what? I'm really proud that you're keeping the comic coming out.
Well,
you know?
we are so proud to, and actually, I'm proud to.
Yeah,
know,
you should be.
We have actually accomplished something. You know, it's a story unfold. It's a graphic novel that you can hold. You know,
Yeah.
it's something, man.
And you're putting out multiple issues too, which is
Yes,
great.
yes.
I mean, the fact
Yes.
that so many people, you know, they talk about doing things and then it never gets done. But
Exactly.
you've been putting it out.
We did it, and we have the 4th issue. The script is done, so that's cool too.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, when is the 4th? Is it only 4 issues?
No, we are for this storyline. We're aiming for 10 issues.
Oh wow, okay, wow. And then you can collect them into a graphic
With a-
novel.
Yeah, with a big ending, and then we want our main character to appear in other comics.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I
Or-
mean, you need a shared universe.
Exactly. Or if Netflix or somebody will make a TV show from it, but animated, because nobody can play our main character.
Right.
Animated show would be perfect for our comic. Oh my god. Like Invincible, but they are fucking they're fucking all ISIS.
Yeah. No, I liked Invincible a lot. I like the animated show too.
Yeah, I fucking love Invincible. It's my favorite show.
Oh yeah,
Animated show.
I really liked it a lot. I thought it was great.
Yeah, man. Bro, before we say goodbye,
Yes.
House of the fucking Dragon, man. Oh my god.
I'm loving it. I can't wait. I mean, in less than 4 hours, we get another episode. I cannot wait.
Less than 4 hours, yes.
Yeah.
Can't wait too, man. I'm gonna stay awake and see it because I'm free tomorrow.
Yeah, we get the big time jump. We have new actresses playing Alicent and Rhaenyra. So that'll be fun to see where that's all going to go.
Sony, it was great to see you. Sorry, we have to move on to our next speaker here, which is Marcus. Marcus Bisma, you should be able to unmute now.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, buddy. So let's talk Ring of Power.
Okay. What do you think? What is the verdict? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you think?
I'm baffled. Okay, there are things that I like from it. I'm mixed bag right now. There are things that I like, but I'm truly baffled by and I want to know your opinion about this.
Sure.
It's the multi-structure storyline that they introduce. So they have the Harfoot storyline, the Dwarf Elrond storyline, Arondir, the dwarf guy.
Yep.
Adar with Adar, and then they have Numenor storyline, and in the Numenor storyline they have multiple storyline.
Right.
After episode 5, my girlfriend was so lost, and she's a casual audience, and I'm afraid that's the general feeling of the casual audience.
I agree with you. I think the real problem is the two guys who are in charge of that writing staff are not that experienced when it comes to writing. And I think, they're trying to be all things to all people, and all of these different storylines, they're not gelling together because they're not all about the same things. Like the Harfoots are dealing with whether that's Gandalf or not. I mean, I'm sure probably it is. And what does that have to do with anything else? And I don't think they've done a good job. I mean, we're 5 hours into an 8-hour season. And while, I'm mildly curious to see what happens when they go to Numenor. I mean, when the Numenorians go to Middle Earth, I'm like, I don't really care, because the question that everyone's asking is, where is Sauron and what is he going to do? And, no one's talked at all about the Rings of Power right yet. Like
maybe in season 5.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be forged. It takes in the book like 70 years to forge them all. And I think that this is ultimately, it was a losing proposition from the get-go to try and do this show, because, they just had historical accounts. They don't even have J.R.R. Tolkien's voice. And by definition, they had to make up characters. And which is fine, I guess, but you're dealing with a man who created such a rich world and such a rich lineage. He knew exactly what he wanted. Even Peter Jackson, had to change, like Glorfindel and Arwen. It was Glorfindel in the books that saved Frodo from the Black Riders. It was not Arwen. They had to make changes and do adaptation, but I think this show is all over the place. And I think the problem is they haven't presented us with a strong narrative. And the thing about the Lord of the Rings is that even though you have Hobbit characters, the Hobbits assume the mantle of going on this journey and destroying the Ring of Power. And along the way, they pick up a lot of people, and you understand who they are. It's the same structure that Lucas used in Star Wars. Luke Skywalker is all of us. whether you're male or female, whatever, however you identify. Luke Skywalker was the character that we could all identify with. You know, he looks to the twin setting suns of Tatooine. He wants to be somewhere else. So when he sets off on that journey, when he says to Ben Kenobi, I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father, we all sympathize with him. And when you watch Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson made Frodo. I mean, he changed the character of Frodo a bit, but we as the audience see the story through Frodo's eyes. We identify with Frodo. I do not identify with Galadriel, only because she's like a superhero, and she isn't down to earth, and she has these powers, and she is a super elf essentially. So how am I supposed to? I can identify with her as a character. I understand what I'm supposed to watch, but I'm watching from a very distanced perspective because I don't relate to her as a character.
Would you approve, like, you used to review script, right? Like, would you approve this script?
No, this script is all over the place, and they're trying to figure out how to navigate. I mean, essentially, you're telling a war story. You're leading up to the War of the Ring, the first War of the Ring, and so in that sense, we know where we're going. And we know that Numenor gets destroyed. We know so many things that are happening. And they've got all the, like, I think that the really interesting thing with the reason people like the Elrond Durin storyline is because we understand how the elves and the dwarves have to come together. And even though the dwarves didn't fight, you know, they have to make the Mithril and all that. And the elves are very much interested in Mithril. But still, I mean, again, where is the narrative thrust of this story? I still don't know after 5 hours what actually is happening. There's stuff going on, but so they're going to go and fight orcs in Middle Earth now. Well, then what? I mean, Galadriel's been trying to say to everybody, you know, Sauron's coming back.
Yeah.
And people were saying, no, he's not. But now even the elves or Gil-galad's like, well, yes, they are. Yes, Sauron is coming back. We know. So I don't think the script the story is not working yet.
It seems for me another big problem is they can't decide to go mythical style or more crowd pleaser. I mean, mythical style is like the Northman or even the Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson. That are so mythical, and there are some mythical scenes in it, like the when the tree falling at the tree leaves, and then when the Galadriel swims. There are a very mythical story. But on the other hand, you get the Harfoot story that sometimes are so goofy.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. I mean, tonally, it's all over the place. And like to me, I look at the Harfoots and it's almost like a cliche. They're the cliche fantasy characters. They're not quite hobbits, but they're the cliche. They're the every people. They're the simple nomadic tribe they're going to get pulled into the horrors of war or whatever. But I'm like, why are we following them? It's almost as like they have to do that because, well, there were hobbits in Lord of the Rings, so we have to put a stand-in hobbit race, even though there weren't hobbits in Middle Earth at the time. They're like, well, the Harfeets are descendants of hobbits, or the hobbits are descendants of the Harfeet. And it's like, well, no, Harfeets are hobbits from a different time, but it's, again, I don't know. It's like they feel they have to put them in there, and I'm like, why? Why do you feel you have to put them in there?
Do you think do you think they're trying to be Game of Thrones? Because I feel a lot of Game of Thrones structure here that you got a lot of characters scheming left and right. Even the elf are scheming.
No, I think that Game of Thrones, absolutely, everybody wants to be Game of Thrones. You know, that's like or at least especially the first, say, 6 seasons. Everybody wants that kind of structure. But the funny thing is Game of Thrones, even though it's a fantasy story and Lord of the Rings is a fantasy story, and George R.R. Martin was heavily influenced by Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones is based more on real things that happened in medieval Europe, like the War of the Roses. Yeah. And there's stuff that actually happened in medieval Europe that Game of Thrones was inspired by, whereas the Lord of the Rings was inspired by European mythology.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference, is that the Game of Thrones was always inspired by reality, where Lord of the Rings was inspired by mythology. And I think that's where the problem is. And now they, rather than lean into the mythology,
the
Oh
horse.
yeah,
The background is amazing.
absolutely. Yeah, that I mean, there's some amazing stuff that they're, and it's too bad they're not even shooting in New Zealand anymore.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, they're going to England. They moved locations because something to do with tax credits or something.
But
So-
I think the show is salvageable, especially in season 2, especially with the budget they have. I think
I
there's
agree with
something
you.
here.
No, I agree with you.
Just I think they need to stay away more from the Tolkien's actually. Go
Yes.
make your own style. Just use Tolkien's characters and themes, but just stay away from the lore. I think. And do
Yes.
your own thing. Yeah.
I mean, they they lock themselves into this, and they're doing what they're doing, but the people that are complaining have legitimate concerns.
Yeah, and the problem is there an audience, especially casual audience for season 2? Because people that my friends that are casual, they're tap out. Like 50% of them tap out after the episode. It's too slow for them. I don't think it's slow, but it's too confusing.
I agree.
To follow, especially for a general audience. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. It's really hard to follow for everybody, especially for casual fans. So, yeah, agreed.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Hey, Rob, do you remember that old SNL skit with Jimmy Smits where whenever they would mention a Spanish name, they would pronounce it really pronounced? Like,
Oh, yes.
hello, this is Jose Santos, and I'm coming from Nicaragua. And they would go,
Yeah,
why do they
yes.
do that in Lord of the Rings with all of the, like, Numenor? They're always enunciating the names of the places so strongly.
That's very funny.
It's so jarring to me when they go, this is the island of Numenor. It's like they just emphasize that so strongly.
They should do that. They should do a sequel about Lord of the Rings and just do that Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah. All right. Roger Robertson is up next. You should be able to unmute now, Roger.
How's it going, man?
Hey, just fine, Rob.
How's your neck of the woods?
Oh, it's turning fall here, so it's not nearly as hot as it was a month ago. So that feels great.
Nice.
Yeah, just like what Bertha was saying, just like in the Game of Thrones, the two characters as you're speaking Old Valyria, even they use like a different dialect. They're rolling your R's a lot more in
Right.
this version.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of. They do like their pronunciations,
Right.
and I understand that. That's that's part of the fun, I guess.
So, Rob, I'm going to go over the MCU a little bit. I know Thor, and I just want to tell you how I look at movies like Thor, and even Wanda, because watching Wanda, yeah, I could see he was doing this horror stuff, and that was fine. And for Taika was just being silly.
Right.
At the end of the movie, I did like the end. I liked Jane's sacrifice and
Yep.
the final battle, and that battle that they had on that little planetoid was neat. But despite what you thought of the movie, Rob, do you think that Thor at the end of the movie is finally at a positive point as opposed to his arc over the past 3 films?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the funny thing is I get. Here's my thing about like Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder. Obviously, the Thor character for a guy like Chris Hemsworth was not a real stretch to play. And by leaning into the more humorous aspects of the character, what Taika Waititi was able to do was make Chris Hemsworth excited about playing Thor again because the character was getting stale. My problem is that they went the quick and easy way of humor. There's two kinds of humor with characters. There's situational based humor, and then there's humor that denigrates the character, humor at the character's expense. And I'll give you an example. At the beginning of Thor, when he's fighting with the Guardians and they're trying to protect that religious citadel or whatever, that glass tower, and Thor goes in there and wrecks shop and defeats the aliens, and then the glass tower comes crashing down around him. That was the point in the movie, and that's very early on in the film, where I was like, I'm kind of out.
Right, yeah,
because they turn that into a joke. Now, that scene could have been played, very different, where Thor realizes the importance of this citadel to these people and is able, against all hope, is able to save that citadel. But the fact that it crashes down around him is a joke at Thor's expense. It makes him incompetent because the glass, he went in and fought too hard or whatever and was overpowered. Thor's not stupid. And he understands, being a god himself, he understands the value of these places, of churches, and what they mean to the people. And I understand it was played for laughs, and maybe I'm being too much of a fuddy-duddy or whatever. But to me, by having that citadel get destroyed by Thor, it turns into a laugh and a goof.
Yeah.
And that was,
I consider him still in a mentally a goof anyway, just because of, he did accept that he didn't need to be what people thought of him but he's to me, he was still lost until the end of the movie, where he's finding now a father, and he, for the first time in his whole arc, he should have a positive attitude going to his next movie.
Yes, I agree. I mean, look, I loved the way Thor was portrayed in in Infinity War and at the beginning of Endgame, when he takes Thanos' head off. I loved that version of Thor. The fact that he was haunted by the fact that Thanos was able to defeat everyone. You should have gone for the head. He didn't. And in a way, in his compassion, Thor allowed the universe to be snapped away.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very, like, I always prefer fantasy characters to have a little bit more of a serious bent. And I understand that. I really loved Ragnarok as a one-off. I thought Ragnarok was a lot of fun because the rest of the movie had real consequences. Odin died, Hela destroyed Mjolnir. I mean, it was not an unserious film. It was just presented in a humorous way. And I never felt that the characters themselves were the butt of the joke. Whereas in Love and Thunder, I felt Thor was the butt of a joke for a lot of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I hated that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of other people did too.
That was just Taika being Taika.
Yes. That's how I saw it as well. And that's fine. But, sometimes you go too far. And I think the tone of Love and Thunder didn't work. You could have made it funny, but also you have really heady themes that you're dealing with. And I just would have liked to have seen more seriousness brought to that movie. It was too silly. Yeah. It went too far.
Yeah. And I've been enjoying She-Hulk okay, but I really, really like Tatiana Maslany. And I was going to ask, have you ever seen
Orphan Black?
Orphan Black, yeah.
Yeah, she was amazing in Orphan Black. All the different versions of the characters she played. She was amazing.
I watched the first season. That was great.
And again, I think that She-Hulk is a show that's all over the place. Every week, I don't think they have a real handle on what show they're trying to make because there's no cohesion in it. And again, I'm tired of She-Hulk herself being, it's like she's disrespected throughout the show. And I don't understand that. She's a capable, smart lawyer who's good at her job.
It's a serious show, so that's the way I look at it. It's like I said, it's a silly show, and it's humorous. It's not greatly funny. It's not hilarious. It has some chuckles in it from time to time.
Yeah.
I just think whenever they do move her character to a different movie, Tatiana Maslany will really make it interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she's great. I just think the show is. I expected something that was a little bit more sophisticated and had a lot more going on in it. I felt like, especially this last episode, I thought was just completely ridiculous and inconsequential. And I'm like, you have they could have made it much more of a superhero law procedural and delved into the Marvel Cinematic Universe more. I just think it's all over the place. It's weird.
Well, they'll probably do more of that in Daredevil. I think probably 2 years from now we'll look at this as the silly time, and which to me the only thing I ask for the MCU is not to give me the same thing all the time.
Right. Yep.
And that's at least the least thing that they do, because they're always doing something different.
I agree.
But I think with stuff like the Daredevil and also Secret Invasion, that stuff looks like some very serious, highly staked stuff that's coming down the road that I think will be interesting.
I read the scripts for Secret Invasion and I quite liked it. I thought it was good. I think it's a return to form, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff that happens in it.
Looking forward to it.
And I really loved how Nick Fury is portrayed.
Well, it's good to see you, Rob, and hope you,
good to see you.
Keep doing well, and I'll be keeping watching.
All right. Well, thank you for your support. I appreciate it. And thanks for coming to the member chat.
Thank you so much, Roger. Next up, Rob, I'm going to have to let you say the name in the way they would have said it in that SNL skit.
Fernando Borrero. Fernando, how are you? How's your mom? How's your mom?
Well. My mom's doing well. She sends her best. She sends her love. How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
things are always I'm working on some things, got stuff going on. Always, it seems like it's an endless, it never ends.
Yeah.
There's always something to do.
There is always something to do. I told my mom that I'd probably be speaking to you today. She was very happy. So she wanted to make sure I sent her your best.
Oh, absolutely. And right back at her.
Yeah. And I said, Ma, is there anything you want me to ask him? And she goes, no, but she goes, you know what? And she goes, I'm curious to know what he thinks about the 3 shows that we're watching, which is Power of the Ring, Andor, and Book of Dragons. And, I had told her pretty much, because you had already reflected your opinions on them.
Right.
So I told her what you felt, and she goes, you know what? He's right. Because I guess what I'm trying to say is I think we're a little disappointed with the way, like everybody is, with the way that the Power of the Rings has turned out.
Right.
It's difficult to say what direction it's going. We failed to see the point what the point is,
I think that's exactly it. I think in Rings of Power, we're watching these stories and we're wondering, where is the story? Like, what is it that's going on? Like, we're 5 hours in, and the last episode was like 70 minutes long. We're 5 hours into this narrative, and there are scenes like, I like the relationship between Durin and Elrond, but what's the story that's being told here? Right. Like where's the narrative? There's all this disparate stuff that's happening, and none of it really is tying together. We vaguely know that Sauron is coming to power again. His power is manifesting in Middle Earth. And my question is, so? Now we've got the orcs now. Okay, we know that orcs are bad. We know what they're going to do. And the orcs have a dark elf leading them, because a lot of the orcs came from being elves. Correct. So we know all of that. But I would ask, well, now what? Like, what is this narrative that we're following? Why am I watching this show? What am I getting out of it? Yes. And to your point, after one episode, we already knew what the Game of Thrones prequel was all about after one episode. Yep. And you know exactly what's happening. You can see the storm winds gathering, and we understand the right of succession and the problems that are inherent in Westeros because of certain, it's Patty Considine. I think he's great, and it's, in a way, he's such a tragic character because every time, first of all, he's too slow to react, but every time he tries to do something good, it gets thwarted and messed up by the ambitions of others. And I think he's a great tragic character who's not going to end well. Yep. It's like his brother said, he's not very good at being a king. He's a nice guy, but he's not good at being a king. No, he's and I find that fascinating. And the funny thing about here's the difference between the biggest difference I think between House of the Dragon and Rings of Power.
Yes.
All of the characters in House of the Dragon are multidimensional. They have
Yes.
many facets to them. And
Yeah.
getting to know them has been fascinating. Whereas the characters in Rings of Power are all very one note. What you see is what you get. Like
Take the queen-
Elendil is a man of honor, you know, has to deal with his son Isildur. Galadriel's the warrior princess. I mean, everybody's so one note. And because it's so fantasy based, there's no real reality in these characters.
Right.
Whereas there is a lot more of the humanity that we understand in the fantasy characters in House of the Dragon. We get those people.
Right.
Those people, if you were telling the same story of House of the Dragon in New York City, it would be Succession, and we would totally understand this.
Even someone like the Queen, who I thought was one note, you've seen her grow up in the
Yep.
last episode.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I mean, you've seen her do things, and she's a multifaceted human being. And
Yes.
and that's the secret to any show is great writing. It begins with characters, and characters we have to recognize and understand them. And the characters in Rings of Power are very one-dimensional. So it makes the show not nearly as interesting as it's supposed to be. And what's so funny about it is we're bringing all of our, like the thing about House of the Dragon is nobody had expectations as to what the show was going to be when they first, unless the people that read the book, but we all didn't know. We knew it took place in Westeros, and we didn't know, was it going to be just like Game of Thrones? But the fact that it's so focused on this family and it doesn't leave places, you know, you're in King's Landing for most of it. It allows us to really get to know those characters. And even you're in one room in House of the Dragon, and there's all of this political brinksmanship happening. And it's interesting. Whereas Rings of Power is, we expect these characters to be who they are, and that's all they are. There's nothing deep about them. They're all just fantasy trope characters. And that's why people like the relationship between Durin and Elrond, because it seems like it's the first or only real relationship, but that two guys are treating each other the way, I mean, they could be in a buddy cop movie.
Right.
You know, they don't even have to be in a fantasy land. It's like, oh, here's two characters that are relating to each other the way we want characters to relate to when we're watching a TV show or a movie. They're playful with one another. They are self-deprecating. They give each other shit. They're the only characters that seem real. And what makes them real is not their fantasy tropes. You forget, it doesn't matter that Durin's a dwarf and Elrond's an elf. They're friends.
Yes.
And they have a mutual respect, and they give each other a hard time. They're the only two characters that feel real in the whole show.
It's a real relationship.
Yeah. And that's the only real relationship. That's why people gravitate to that storyline. And it feels like that's the only relationship that they really know how to write properly. Everything else is just generic fantasy trope stuff. Well, we're off to fight the orcs. Well, why? You know, days ago, Galadriel was somebody you wanted to get the hell off your island. And now it's like you believe her and you're going to go fight a war with her. It's why? Why are you doing that?
All of a sudden, right. Exactly.
And you just don't buy it. You're like, okay, I get it, because that's what happens in fantasy stories. We have to go fight a war.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Robert, I got to give you credit. As always, I love learning things from you. And last night, it's the truth. And last night, it's like 3:30 in the morning, and you were on, and I'm dead tired. And then you say, I'm going to put on a special guest. And I'm like, oh God, I'm going to go to sleep. And you're like, Tony, right? From the Latino side?
Paulie.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
Yeah, no worries.
And you guys had a great conversation going. And as usual, I'm learning, because Paulie's very, very intelligent. He's very, like you, he's very well-read, knows a lot about films.
Yes.
Just from your conversation.
And music too.
And music, yes. And what I liked about him was, I don't know if you noticed, if there was something that caught his attention, he was writing it down, you know? And that I said to myself, oh, he also likes to learn. He was writing things down that either he didn't know or he wanted to know more about that you were telling him. And just learning about certain things. And then you mentioned the movie Blood In, Blood Out. And as soon as you mentioned it, I started to look at the streaming channels. Where can I find this movie? But you answered it in the show with Dieter.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's on YouTube, and somebody did an upres, I would imagine, of the 4K. Made a 4K upres off the original DVD because it's never been released in HD. I don't know if it's, and that's why you can't find it streaming. It's really frustrating. I really love the film. It's based on the writings of Jimmy Baca, who's a Chicano poet from LA. And we had done, it was very funny because Tom from Midnight's Edge and Paulie and I were talking randomly, and they had already set up like a cast reunion with the cast, like Benjamin Bratt.
Right.
And then I started talking about it, and I just randomly said, I wonder if we could get the director. I mean, they said, well, come on and host it if you want. And so I did, and I was able to get in touch with Taylor Hackford, and he came and was part of the conversation, which is on YouTube. So you can get the movie Blood In, Blood Out, and it's truly an epic. It's a 3-hour-long family saga. It's actually the saga of 3 friends. One becomes an artist, one joins the Mexican mafia, and the other becomes a cop. And it's about their trajectory in East Los Angeles, and it's an epic movie, and it's based on Baca's writings of people that he knew.
Right.
And I love the film. I love the film from the first time I saw it, and it's hard to get. You can't get it, and I just don't understand why.
But you're right. It is on YouTube, and it for a movie on YouTube, it doesn't look bad. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
and I'm curious. I'm really curious about how they were able to do that. And that's a movie that was made when Disney had their offshoot Hollywood Pictures, and they were making R-rated movies. And no one's put that out, and it's frustrating to not be able to get that in an HD format, because I want it, other than that video on YouTube.
Fernando, thank you so much. We've got Tom Jr. Jackson, our moderator extraordinaire, coming in right now. Tom, you should be able to unmute.
Hey there.
What's going on, man? How are you?
How's it going? I'm doing good.
Thanks for your excellent moderating efforts.
Yeah. Last night you thought I was leaving your channel. No. That was a message from Ghostwriter, who I think he was quoting me, saying, "I hope we get to work again soon," or something like that. And you're like, "Are you leaving?" I'm like, no, I'm like, wait, I don't remember saying anything like that. I'm like, wait, did I send in a message? No, I didn't. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun going, wait, did I send that in? Wait, did I? And
I didn't really think you were leaving.
Yeah. But yeah, things are going okay with me. I got a Moon Knight Funko.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. My mother, my niece, and my brother all got COVID, and I didn't.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, knock on wood. But yeah, my channel's going well. I went and saw Moonage Daydream.
What'd you think? Did you see it in IMAX?
No, I went to the little theater that's like downtown here.
Okay.
They renovated it. It's beautiful. One of these days, I got to ask if I can go in there and do a video from there.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'd love to see that.
And do that. Yeah, it's a really, it's a beautiful theater. It's like almost 100 years old or something like that. And it's 7.1 surround. The music, the sound, the visuals, everything was excellent. First, when it started, I was like, oh, am I supposed to be on something watching this? Because it was all trippy.
Yeah, it's very trippy. I saw some of it at CinemaCon, and it was extremely trippy.
It's like a concert. It's like an interview. It's like a documentary. But I think it's Mark Maron's podcast. He has the director of the movie. He's interviewing him, And he got the inspiration to do it is after he had like a massive heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And he saw the film in a whole new light. And he did it in such a way that it's unlike any other film I've ever seen. I don't know whether to call it a documentary or a concert film. And he's been retweeting a lot of my tweets about it. The
Oh,
director
nice.
had.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he did a few other what do you call them? Documentaries. He did one on Kurt Cobain, one on O.J. Simpson.
Right.
But yeah, it's really, really good. You would like it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw like I want to say 15 minutes of it, and the crazy phantasmagorical nature was intercutting movie clips and him backstage.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's like a lot of movie clips from like Nosferatu and Wizard of Oz and everything. And what I got away from the movie is that David Bowie was someone who he couldn't sit still for 5 minutes. He had to always be doing something. So he would he would act, he would write, he would paint, he was a sculptor. The whole Ziggy Stardust phase, it was all performance art. Everything he did was like performance art. And
Yes.
I was blown away. And I didn't know any of this about him. But then you get to the point where he starts talking about his wife. And it is the most beautiful thing. And the pictures they were showing of him and his wife. And it's like, yeah, it's beautiful there. But then again, the one thing they didn't show is as much in it was him being on the talk shows and the little funny things that he would do, because he was hilarious.
He was hilarious. Yeah, he had a great sense of humor.
Especially when he was on Extras with Ricky Gervais. And he starts singing a song, Little Fat
Man. Yeah, that was just the most hilarious thing ever.
But the also physical media wise, I got Willow.
Oh, nice.
Because of that day, you were all talking about Willow on Midnight Musings. I said, "Oh, all right, I got to get this now," and I got it because they have the audio commentary with Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've seen the trailer for that, the Willow show.
It looks pretty good.
I'm so excited they brought back Kevin Pollak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder if they're going to bring back the Brownies, and they are, so that's good. So know, who's ever doing this, it really is going into it, and they have said that what's his name, Val Kilmer will have a big presence in this. He's not going to be in it, but he will feel his presence in it. They said.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool to see.
No, I'm excited.
But, how have you been?
I've been good. Just busy.
Yeah.
And
I saw that clip. I saw the clip of because someone posts clips of the funniest moments on the Campia show on YouTube, and it was one from Friday.
Oh man!
It was the one with Amy going nah nah nah, and you just turned red.
I lost it. I thought I could not stop laughing. Because that was part of a whole conversation about "Don't Worry, Darling" and the oral sex scenes in there, and I made a quip about how you can't tell if he's very good at what he's doing because of the angle.
Yeah, and I saw that and I was like dying.
I was dying. I was dying being in there. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, one of these days, you and I should set something up because I would love to have you on my channel and do like an interview with you.
Oh yeah, whenever you want. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're not so busy and exhausted, and I know you do a lot with John and stuff like that. And
I mean, still, it's always good to come on, to come on the show. I mean, I'd love to do that with you.
Because so far, I know I want you and I want RM, and I actually, it's funny because I made up a thumbnail for when you come on, and I titled it "The Robert Meyer Burnett Experience." That's going to be the name of the episode. And originally, I was thinking, oh, I could take that meme I made of you, of the old man yelling at the clouds, but and I was going to change it to "Old Man Goes On Show," but I said, no, I'll wait till if I have him on again, I'll do it that time. But
That's funny,
I got a
though.
really good picture. Yeah.
That's very funny.
I love it when you bring up that clip. Yeah, you keep sending those clips, those memes. I'm like, okay.
No, that I love that.
Yeah, so I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I've lost.
How's your
40
health?
pounds.
How you feel? Yeah, I was gonna say you've been killing it. You've been crushing it.
Yeah, I see. Back in December, January, I was at 282. I just weighed myself the other day. I'm at 242.
Wow, that's amazing.
Last time I went to the doctor, that was about 3 months ago. I was weighed. I was at 248. So I've lost 8 pounds in 3 months as well.
That's amazing, dude. Congratulations on that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So my health is going well. I go to hopefully this week to meet the diabetes doctor, I believe. And then next month I have 2 doctor's appointments. But other than that, I am doing fantastic.
That is fantastic. That's really great to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. As I said before, I've been working on my channel. I'm enjoying that. And I've been doing movie reviews. And I did a review of the first 3 episodes of Andor. I'd watch an episode, then I would do a review, and then watch the other episode and do another review. And I would do it like that because it'd be fresh in my mind.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think the last one I did was for a Moonage Daydream. I have a review for Kathy Flan's book, the How to Survive the.
Oh, how great was that book?
It's a great book. As a matter of fact,
much fun.
Every video I do, I always give a shout out to you and your channel, and also to RM's channel. But I always refer to you as the captain.
That's very schmodown.
I go, you and your captain. But it's funny because when I get down to RM, she always calls me her co-collaborator, and for some reason I want to say co-conspirator. And it just, I'm like, no, I can't. And so I have to write things down, what to say.
Sure.
So I don't forget, and it doesn't turn out crazy. But the last thing I wanted to show you was this baby.
Oh man.
It's Thor on the with the goats.
Yep. That's pretty cool. Does that come that all like that with the base and everything?
Yeah. It's the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, the Bifrost. Yep.
Oh, I never noticed that it's together like that. Huh. But yeah, they're like he's like a little bobblehead and stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. That is really
I got
cool.
this for free. I got this for free from the Disney Insiders. I had a bunch of points.
Wow, nice. Nicely done.
Yeah. So I'm doing good, and channel's doing well. You know, what else is there to worry about? You know, I mean,
yeah, nuclear war in Ukraine. No.
Yeah, well, there was that guy that came in the chat last night. He kept saying that Russia nuked over the Black Sea, and I'm looking everywhere, and I don't see it mentioned online. And then I realized Sky's just spamming the chat over and over, saying, tagging you and saying breaking, and I'm like, I can't find this anywhere. So I was like, okay, this guy's spamming it.
Yeah, it's
either the sex box, the Bitcoin box, and now I guess it's the nuclear box.
Yeah, that's I know. We live in fun times, don't we?
Tom, thank you so much. Hey, Rob, I just realized I did not put the Stream Elements link on the description. So just for folks who want to donate through Stream Elements, I'm going to put it in the chat. It was my bad that I forgot to include that information.
Oh, yeah, no worries. All good. I mean, that's nice of people.
Yeah, because people have been saying they want to put they want to donate through Stream Elements, and I just realized, oh, I forgot to put that info in there. So, all right, Pedro Ferreira is coming up next. You should be able to unmute now, Pedro.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it
This has
going,
been
man?
A long time coming, isn't it?
Has it? Yes. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm a bit tired at the moment. I've been going to bed one too many times late, so I'm feeling the after effects of that. So
I know how that is.
yeah, I think I should avoid 4 o'clock, going to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning a bit too much. So yeah, so not good for my anxiety issues as well. So yeah. But yeah, I've been wanting to see you for a while, so it's nice to finally get a chance to speak to you.
Yeah, come on. That's what I'm sorry that we haven't, normally the idea is to do these bi-weekly, but we haven't done one in a month. Yeah, so I apologize for that, only because it's hard to coordinate everybody. And Roberto's been so nice to let everybody. I mean, he can have enough people on the Zoom chat. So now, where are you in Mexico?
I'm in the UK.
Oh, you are in the UK. I don't know why I thought you were in. Oh, Hassan Chavez is in Mexico.
No, I'm in the UK. I'm in end of London.
Right. Okay.
End of
I mean, you got. That's what I was gonna say. Your voice is not.
No,
you sound like
my parents are Portuguese, but
Oh, okay.
I was born here. I was born in the UK.
Do you speak Portuguese at all?
Unfortunately, not very much.
That's okay. You don't have to.
In retrospect, I think it's because I have learning difficulties. I have autism, so that's made it difficult to pick up languages like memory, in terms of memory and stuff like that. So yeah. So, but I mean, it's all right. I mean, it's not such a big thing for me. So yeah.
How is the UK now? Did you participate in any of the? Did you go to Hyde Park to watch the funeral for the Queen?
No, I've been mostly out of it. I think I'm aware of what was going on with the Queen and everything, but I haven't really been following that much. I mean, I know what's been going on every single day, but I haven't been actually seeing it on TV or anything like that. I've just been reading like the news reports and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, it's I was
shocking.
talking.
Yeah, it was shocking because I thought that I would have thought that the Queen would have lived as long as her mother, because her mother would live. Her mother lived till like 101.
Yeah, and I'm sure she would like to have seen being 100.
Yeah.
My grandfather, she was 96. My grandfather passed away at 97, and he often talked about wanting to live to be 100.
Yeah,
and I always felt so bummed out because he worked out every day, and he was, for a 97-year-old man, he was in tremendous shape. And then he had a heart attack, and he when he had a heart attack at 97, he called a cab to take him to the hospital.
Wow.
And when he got to the hospital, the aorta of his heart tore open, so oxygenated and unoxygenated blood were mixing. And normally, if he was a younger man, they would have just opened him up and fixed it. But because he was 97, they didn't. So he had 36 hours left of life, and I was there with him. I was holding his hand when he finally passed away. But it seems so unfair. I'm like, God damn it. He would have loved to have lived to be 100. And I'm sure the Queen was looking forward to living to be 100 too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's also to do with the genes as well. How long do you think you could survive based on your environment and how long your parents have lived for and stuff?
Yes.
Like that. So, but I mean, I'm like, I don't look it, but I'm 39. So I'm kind of young. I look young for my age, but I've still got like hopefully many years left as long as I keep looking after myself. So
yeah, I mean, and nowadays, life expectancy in the United States has fallen because of COVID, but in the UK, you can still live a long life.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Although our NHS hasn't been that great. But,
yeah, that's what I've heard. What do you think of your new prime minister?
I think, she has ambition. I wasn't a big fan of our previous prime minister, so at least this one might have a bit more of a chance to get things going on certain things.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that she can do a bit of a better job than Boris did. Boris was always a bit of a clown, unfortunately.
Right.
He was always a bit of a joker. He was a bit of a clown. You know, there's always, you Google funny moments on YouTube of Boris and you'll find loads. So but I mean, I think that the world is slowly going back to normal after COVID, but it's going to take some time. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just only hope people go back to normal. I think everybody's a little nuts.
Yeah. Well, it's more 21st century than anything else, isn't it?
Yes, I totally agree.
Life is not the same after 9/11 than it was before 9/11. I think everyone's gone a bit crazy after 9/11. And I think, it's round about the 2001, 2010 period when people, you know, things, the way society works and stuff like that. And, you know, I can't do anything about it myself, so I just have to kind of live with it. So. And manage it.
It's true.
I mean, I'm always making fun of things on Twitter. You see me, I'm always making fun of everything. So that's the way I managed to, you know, I go on Twitter to have fun. So
yeah, I agree. I do too. Or just talk about things I like. Some people don't understand. You know, Twitter is a place where people don't always have nuance.
No, I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, also because of my autism, I can come across rubbing people the wrong way on social media. I can get in trouble for behaving a certain way because people perceive me to be having a problem with something or other. So I always get banned from forums and stuff like that. But I mean, I put a tweet out about like James Bond, and that didn't get me into trouble. I think probably because nobody looked at the tweet. But I was basically saying that I was really sad for the Queen's death, but I really enjoyed. What I really enjoyed was back in 2012 where they had the London Olympics and had James Bond.
Oh, that was the greatest. That was the greatest thing ever.
They had both skydive, parachuting out of the plane afterwards. And I didn't mean that to mock the Queen or anything. And no one had to go at me for it. But that's my way of saying that that's my favorite moment of the Queen. Generally, non-ironically, my favorite moment was the fact that they did that whole thing, and you know.
Well, I heard that, you know, I was reading because I was fascinated just, you know, when Queen Elizabeth became queen in 1952 and living through World War II and she was actually, what was she in? She was in construction or something. She did something during the war. She had a job. Yeah. She wasn't a nurse. She was doing something.
I know that she was talking to members of the public directly because the Buckingham Palace had been bombed.
Right. Yeah.
So she didn't have a home. She had a home, but she didn't have a normal home yet.
Yeah, but I mean, she was. You know, it's interesting. A lot came out about the monarchy and the colonization, colonialism, and all that, and people were complaining about. And I'm just like, look, Queen Elizabeth, she presided over the decolonization of many of the British colonies. And you
can't blame her for 200 years of history.
Well, it was very interesting. It's very frustrating.
Didn't live that long.
Yeah, it's very frustrating listening to modern activists who have no sense of history and understanding. They just know she was a queen and that there was colonization. They have no, other than that, there's very little understanding or nuance of what went on. And you can't. Human history is human history. We're not a great bunch of people. We don't have a long history of being nice to one another. So depending on how far you go back, everyone's been a product of some kind of victimization, systemic victimization, personal victimization. That's human history. And it's very funny. Like, how far back do you want to go? Like, and with the Queen, if you looked into her life and what she stood for, I would say that in the 70 years she reigned over the British Empire, there was a lot of good that she did do. And she was a pretty impressive figure. I'm not a monarchist. I didn't live in a country that had monarchs, you know, but still I would say that Queen Elizabeth was somebody to be admired and lauded, and it was a life well lived, and she presided over a very tumultuous time in history, especially coming out, looking at the reconstruction of England, especially London after the Blitz. she was somebody to be admired.
I think a lot of it's political. I think a lot of it's political because people who don't like the Queen don't like a monarchy.
Right, and that's understandable. I totally understand that, and they cannot like the monarchy, and I mean, monarchies are not exactly part of the modern age the way they were 200, 400, 600 years ago.
The First World War got rid of a lot of the monarchies anyway. So
yeah, but it's like you can say I don't like the monarchy. Well, okay, I get that, but that still doesn't absolve anyone of living through the last 70 years of when Queen Elizabeth was Queen of England, and she did a lot of good in that role. And I mean, to me, it's like saying, well, I don't like monarchy. Yeah, I understand that. That makes sense to me. But that said, what did you think of her reign in the last 70 years? And I think that she's definitely somebody to be admired.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how Prince Charles does. I think Prince Charles has got his head on his shoulders.
Yep.
So I think that's good. I trust Prince Charles. So we'll see what happens. So yeah.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where all that goes. We're certainly living through interesting times.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Hey, Rob, I figured I will give you an update. The Seahawks are up 2017 against the Falcons, just so you know.
Thank God.
So, coming up next.
That game against San Francisco is brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been looking at the NFL update. So
I've got Kevin coming up next. You should be able to unmute now, Kevin.
Thank you.
What's up, dude? How's it going?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Hanging in there.
Good. I'm looking at NFL Red Zone over here, so it's like my fantasy team is doing awesome, so I'm all good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to keep it light today because everything's so like bad. Always bitching about stuff, but I'm actually enjoying the House of the Dragon. I never watched Game of Thrones. I didn't have HBO at the time, and I didn't really get into it now. So, but the House of the Dragon, I really enjoy it. Actually, it's good. I actually watched a video yesterday or the day before, and it was like it was on YouTube, and it was a video all 8 seasons cramped, and it was like an hour and a half video. It was awesome. I was like, I can't follow it even with the 2 hours. There's so many characters and so many betrayals, and so I was like, holy shit, dude. But it was fun. But I was gonna ask, did you do you, because I don't want to get the novels now because there's just so many, and well, he hasn't finished them. Do you have any of the graphic novels? Because I've seen them and I'm wondering how good those are.
I don't. I do not own nor have I read the Game of Thrones graphic novels.
Because I think what I've read on the reviews is people say that they're adapted more from the novels than the movies.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine.
Show. So I was.
I mean, look, I would say after House of the Dragon, I think Game of Thrones, while it didn't end particularly well, I didn't think it still is one of the most astonishing achievements in TV. The first 6 years, in particular, are quite extraordinary, and they're definitely worth watching. I would absolutely watch them.
I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes, and it didn't grab me as much. And maybe it's because I've already heard so much about it, and I already knew kind of what was going on, and so it just didn't grab me. And the House of the Dragon, actually, it did grab me. And even my wife's watching it, and she doesn't really enjoy a lot of that kind of fantasy.
Sure.
So that's always a good sign when she's digging it.
Oh yeah,
Kevin, the Game of Thrones graphic novels are an adaptation of the books directly, and so they're they're not an adaptation of the series. Everything looks like it's a completely different like artist rendition and everything. So
that'd be awesome. Then I'm gonna grab all those in. So to change the subject, have you gotten into 3D printing at all?
I have not. I'm scared to do it because of how many things I'd want to 3D print.
So yes, I'm got down that rabbit hole because I know there's a couple of guys that do that here, and my wife got me a 3D printer last year, and I took a couple of months to actually get on it, and then I just started going, and now I've printed all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would print out like spaceship model parts and stuff like that. How do you like it? What
I
what is
love
your
it. I actually did a big old Batman animated series. So I printed that. It's about, I think about a quarter scale, maybe something
wow.
like that. And then I did a Gamora a comic book version. And so I'm working on that.
what do you have to put in to the 3D printer to get something 3D printed? How do you put in the data that gets printed?
So usually what you do is you just download, I mean, there's different ways, but usually you can there's websites that have people that model them, and you basically buy a file and they send you a file, and it's called stereolography or something like that. And it's a type of file where it breaks down all the parts, and then you just save it to a little mini disk or whatnot, and then a USB, and then I just plug it into the printer, and then it knows what to print. And then there's software that you have that's called slicers, and you put it in there, and you can see what you're going to print, and you can move it around how you want to print it. And then
wow, okay.
Yeah,
that's
so it's
cool.
pretty cool. And there's different printers. I have a PLA, so that's like this really thin plastic wire looking stuff. And then some people print with ABS or not ABS, whatever the plastic is. And so the resin. And so that comes out a little bit different. It's all they're two different printer styles.
Right.
So, but I chose this because it's a little less messy. The resin is a liquid, and this is more of a hard plastic.
Right.
So
Okay.
you melt it. The bad thing about this is you get really, really minuscule lines, so you have to do a lot of sanding.
Yeah, a lot of sanding.
Right. And then the ABS, I keep saying ABS, the resin I think is a little smoother when it comes out, but you do have to clean it a little bit and whatnot. It's just a preference, I think.
Sure.
What you want, but yeah, but I started doing that, and because I was looking, you were talking about the statues. You don't really collect statues, but they're so expensive. And I was like, I can get these files depending on the artist, how much they charge. You can get them anywhere from $5 to $100, but I always have it. So, and I can scale them up and down. So if I want to make a 1/12 scale, I can, 1/6 scale, 1/3 scale, whatever I want. So.
Yeah.
But here, I'll show you. This is what it looks like. I have one. Yeah. You'll indulge me here. So this is where we go. That's my Batman. Yeah. So that's the Batman.
So did you 3D print this?
Yeah, this is all.
And then you
3D
sanded
printed.
it down and then painted it.
Yeah.
Wow, that looks terrific.
Yeah, thanks. This is the first one I've ever done. So it's not perfect. There's little things that I'm learning each time, but
sure, but that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and then this one I'm not quite done. My wife's gonna make an actual cape, but this is the Gamora.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the Gamora's, the only bad thing is like the hair. I got to practice on the printing of the hair. Sometimes.
Now, did you use an airbrush to paint that?
Oh yeah, so the airbrush I painted pretty much airbrush except the gold trim on here. I use an actual brush.
Right.
And her eyes. But yeah, so I have to make the base for it.
Kevin, are those printed in parts?
Yes.
It's not the whole thing, right?
No. So with these particular ones, because they're so big, I have to. They're parts. So each leg is a part. The smaller,
is that part of the file that you buy from the artist?
Correct. And depending on the artist and how they do the file, some will put more parts. Like they'll separate the parts more than others. So some people like the Batman, it was his whole chest and arms, I believe, together. And for the Gamora, it was just her chest, but her arms were both separated. So I could, that makes it easier to paint too, because then I can work, because I don't put them together. I kind of wait and it's easier to paint where I could be a little bit more specific with them and closer.
Wow, that's really cool, man.
Yeah, I'm digging it. I enjoy it, but now I'm way behind on some of my other stuff that I'm trying to do. I don't know, not enough time. I was like, and then I'm like trying to keep up with watching TV shows and this and that, and it's like, because I have a normal regular job, so it's like I leave early in the morning, I get home later in the evening, and I have a kid, and I mean, he's older, he he doesn't need any attention from me. He don't care. But yeah, you'll be happy too. He's going on the history thing too. He just watched Taxi Driver the other day.
Nice. What? Yeah.
He dug it. And then,
well, what's interesting is when people go back and watch these movies, there's a level of, call it adultness.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't exist in a lot of the movies today, or it's a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
And I think when people they're surprised by that, and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And he's I think he's got Fight Club, he said, in the queue. And then he was asking me about what's the best Vietnam. I have a different opinion than everybody else. I would say most people probably say Apocalypse Now, I would say. And that's not my.
What's your favorite?
It would probably be Full Metal Jacket or Hamburger Hill.
Yeah, I mean, but both of those movies are great.
Yeah.
I would say what's really interesting though is that Apocalypse Now is not so much about the Vietnam War as it is about war itself.
Correct.
It's just set in the Vietnam War, and it is an adaptation of Joseph Conrad's story, The Heart of Darkness. It's got more, but I would say that, the great thing about, well, it's not the great thing, but you can watch various Vietnam War movies, whether it's Casualties of War or The Deer Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many films that have been made about Vietnam from so many different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
But like Full Metal Jacket is an incredible film.
There's another show, not change subject again, but I was going to ask you, I don't even want to try it. It's called Who Killed Sarah? Have you ever seen that on Netflix?
No, I have not.
It's a Mexican show. I think it's 3 seasons. And it's, I would say, like a murder drama.
Oh, I definitely watched that.
It was really good. It just ended. I want to say 21 was the last season. And I think it would be something that you would enjoy. It gets a little telenovela, a little bit.
Sure, but that's okay. I'll watch that.
And it's in Spanish, so if you can follow it in Spanish, it's awesome. It was a little harder for me to do it that way. We kind of had to do the dubs because if I don't speak Spanish perfectly or anything,
right.
So it's like I think that was a type of show that I would miss too much going on.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff going on and a lot of backstabbing, a lot of things like that. And those are the type of shows I think I'd have a little problem. Like when we watched RRR, some of the dialogue, it didn't matter. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
You just watch it. It's a great spectacle. So
absolutely.
We also just watched See How They Run, or was it?
How'd you like that?
I enjoyed it. It seems like it's going to be similar to Amsterdam. It was kind of like that. It was kind of a silly mystery.
Yes, although I mean, I can't wait to see Amsterdam. I really want to see How They Run too. Everybody I've talked to really liked it.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's playing at our theater here. The next, I think it's done this week, and then the David Bowie movie's coming in next, and then and then this is one of these small private things. So I think the Bowie's only going to be a week, and then Amsterdam is going to be there for a week or two.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool little theater. I mean, it's $10 all the time.
Oh, well, you gotta love that.
And it's super easy. And it's been around for a long time. It probably doesn't have the best. It has pretty good sound, but the picture probably could be a little better. But it's kind of the ambiance about it. It looks like an old airplane hangar and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Wow, that is cool.
But yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Oh, and right before I get off, have you ever been to a concert at the Ace Hotel? Have you ever been to a music thing? How is it?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I like the venue. I've seen concerts and I've seen movies there.
Okay.
And it's pretty neat. It's a pretty big auditorium, and you're pretty. There's not really a bad seat in the house for a concert.
Okay, because there's a band that's playing there, but I've read something that some of the sound is a little muffled in certain spots. But
yeah, it depends. I've never had a problem there.
Okay.
But it's good.
Okay.
I like. You're talking about downtown LA.
Correct. Yeah.
I like the ASO. I love going down there.
Yeah. I was wondering because I've never seen a concert there, so I was like, I don't know, but Rob would know.
It's
Rob
good,
and
know. Plus they've got a good bar there, upstairs. There's a lot. I love the Ace Hotel.
It looked like a kooky setup.
It is kooky.
I was like,
but it's
weird, man.
It's funky. But it's a great venue. It's a great place to hang out.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Great to see you. All right, Rob, I forgot to tell you, my wife is going to be visiting my daughter in LA, and they're going to go see Stevie Nicks at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, nice.
Pretty cool.
Has she ever been to the Hollywood Bowl before?
No, I think I don't think either of them have. So yeah,
the Hollywood Bowl is such a great venue. I love going there. I was there a couple weeks ago to see John Williams.
Right.
And it's such a great venue.
We got Justin Toner coming up. Justin, you should be able to unmute now.
What's up, my friend? How are you?
Doing good, Rob. How are you?
I am well. I'm well. Things are good.
Well, I'm glad your Seahawks are winning because my Bills had a rough loss today against the Dolphins.
The Bills lost today?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah.
To the Dolphins?
Yeah. So
wow, the Dolphins, man, tough this year. Wow.
Thankfully, it was Let's Get Physical Media kind of helped take my mind off that while that was happening.
Wow, that's insane.
Hey, it's like it's early in the season, so it's
Yeah, this season's all over the place, man. The Bills losing to the Dolphins.
Well, it's like it's like they had injuries and they made mistakes. There's a lot of things, and also Dolphins are actually pretty decent, surprisingly. So it's like what can you do? But man, so much physical media stuff going on lately. It's kind of crazy.
I know it's there's so much cool stuff coming out.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember if you and Dieter mentioned it, but the 4Ks of Poltergeist and the Lost Boys came out this week. And,
the Poltergeist transfer. I do not have mine, but I saw the transfer. The Poltergeist transfer is incredible.
That's what like Bill Hunt and everybody like Blu-ray.com. They're saying that like that one is like magnifique, and Lost Boys is also also did a great job with Lost Boys. So
yeah, George Feltenstein was telling me that they did the Poltergeist transfer during the pandemic, and they had time to really spend. Because that movie's never looked great on home video. And
yeah, people are saying like this is like the best it's looked in like a long time. It's like
maybe ever.
So when I can budget for it, I'm gonna probably get both of those because I don't own either one of those on Blu-ray or DVD. So it's perfect time to get the 4Ks,
Yeah, totally.
Did you see Vinegar Syndrome's big get reveal?
Yeah, Roadhouse.
Yeah.
I forgot to talk about that on the show today. I realized, God damn it!
I was gonna send in like a.
I totally forgot. It's funny. I pulled the graphic for it, and I just totally forgot to load it up. I am not a Roadhouse fan, so I've never liked that movie very much. But I understand that the people that do, no dispersions cast. But I forgot to bring that up. I mean, Vinegar Syndrome, the fact that they're getting that, I mean, apparently MGM will license their films out. But I mean, Vinegar Syndrome does such a great job that I can't get angry with them.
And they're getting some big name titles. I mean, they just last month they did Amityville Horror, the original Amityville, in 4K, and now Roadhouse. So besides like the really obscure, weird shit that they resurrect, they're also getting some big name stuff as well. So it's like I'm good. I was like, because people were saying like speculating like I think they're gonna get Roadhouse, and other people are like no way. And then it's like another like they did get Roadhouse in 4K.
Now I got a question for you. You they got this Black Friday sale coming.
Yeah.
And they've got a mysterious title they got coming out on 4K.
Yeah, they do that every year.
Do you have any guesses? I think the 4K title's Caligula.
From what their description, the cast and like how the hell did this movie get made?
Yep.
That would fit Caligula with the cast that Caligula has.
Yeah, I was talking about that with somebody else. I think it's Caligula. I'll buy that.
That would make a lot of people happy. It's got its fans. I've never seen it, but it's
not great, but it's bonkers.
Yeah,
I mean, it's because the actors didn't know what kind of a movie they were really in.
Yeah, I mean, there's I've read about the behind the scenes of the making of that movie. It was quite the shit show, from what I've heard. It's like Gore Vidal was unhappy. What's his name? Their own Penthouse. Saying like, no, we need more hardcore fucking people fucking, and it's like inserting that in the movie. And
oh yeah,
there was a lot of behind the scenes drama. It's like it was quite the read. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen people talk about it on YouTube about that movie and the making of it, and it's got its fans, it's got its defenders. You know, it's like it's got like Blade Runner level number of cuts, you know, and stuff like that, and it's
Oh yeah, yes it does.
so that would fit. Caligula would fit Vinegar Syndrome perfectly.
Yeah, that's totally the movie that they would put out.
Yeah, that's actually a good guess. That's like I was reading the description the other day on the website. I was like, it's like because I had no idea because like I kind of took a risk with the last year with the releases, and then I ended up with a movie I did like Steel and Lace, and then the Ebola Syndrome, which I was like, what that movie was like, what the fuck is this?
Did you buy it?
Yeah, I did. I did the full pre-order because because like it was a bunch of stuff I wanted. I was like, I'll take a risk with the two unknowns. So I did like the full one, including not knowing what the two mystery titles were. So it worked out.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I'm just gonna get. I don't know about this time. I think I'm gonna pre-order Roadhouse before the end of the night because it's like the pre-order sale ends at midnight Eastern time tonight.
Oh, does it? Well, I might have to do it. I mean, even though I don't like that movie, I probably should get that disc.
It's like I know a lot of people. I have friends who love Roadhouse, so it's like I'm like I haven't watched it in a long time, so I'm like what the hell, you know?
Right.
I mean, the packaging looks great, and it'll probably have some really nice extras. You know, it's like so. I was like, I'm gonna go for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Now I finally got my copy of this about a week ago.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it sounds amazing too.
Yeah. I could not afford to get the big deluxe box like you and Dieter did, but so it's like because I was getting the other ones here as well, so I was like,
right, yeah.
So I was like, I'll just get the standard. This sold out like a mofo.
Oh yeah,
like on Amazon and other places, like even Best Buy was sold out of this.
Oh yeah,
this sold like gangbusters for Paramount.
Oh yeah, which is great. Let's say I wonder if, and you know, Blu-rays or 4K discs, there's such a backlog of getting them printed. Like I'll tell you, they haven't sent me my Star Trek 3. I ordered from Amazon, and they don't. Yeah, they did not send me the Star Trek 3, and I'm wondering, you know, they're like, oh, it's not going to come until October. I guess they're reprinting it or whatever. I'm like, really? I mean, Star Trek 3 of all what?
Yeah. It's like I got both. I mean, like people like you bought Star Trek 5 Frontier. It's like I'm like, yes, I think Final Frontier is not a good Trek movie, but I'm a completionist. And it's like so it's like
oh yeah, you got to get it. Well, you can the Amazon still has this, so it's not sold out yet.
Yeah, no, these two are still in stock. It was the motion picture director's edition that was just like it just was like my pre-order was delayed by a week. I got lucky.
Yeah. Yep.
It's still not in stock on Amazon, Best Buy, and it's like I haven't, and some other websites. So it's like I think you can still get the deluxe box that like, you guys got. That's still available. Sure. But in some places, but it's just like I was impressed. I was just like it shows the love of the Trek fans for the appreciation for the motion picture and this version of the film.
Yeah, and of course we still buy physical media, which is always good.
Yeah. I haven't watched the documentary about the restoration yet, but I went through the deleted scenes. I wanted to check out these new deleted scenes that they found. Very interesting. They found the ones where the security guard gets vaporized by the probe. I've heard about. They found
it was great to see all that stuff.
Yeah,
amazing.
The longer one with Ilea in Decker and engineering, it was interesting. I see why he cut it because it gave it foreshadowed a little bit too much the reveal of what V'ger was.
I agree. It totally did. Yes.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that they're like, we couldn't find all the audio, so there's subtitles in place of the lost audio that we couldn't find. But the fact that they found most of the audio for these scenes, it was really nice.
It was amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, and also that they also put in all the scenes that were on the TV cut. Since the TV cut's not in this release, they put all, and that was all on the old DVD that I still have.
Yes.
So I was glad that all the deleted stuff is on this release. So it's like I was happy. I'm looking forward to rewatching 6 because I haven't, especially the director's cut.
Oh
which,
yeah,
I'm fine with.
absolutely.
And have you got the Heat 4K? I haven't got a chance to look at it yet.
I did. You know,
some people have had issues with it. I've heard.
It is too dark.
It's a little too dark.
It's too dark. I mean,
Okay.
ultimately, I thought at first, no, it's too dark. It just looks like a mistake. You know, I think when directors go back and look at these things, it's happened a couple times when Friedkin first did French Connection. They go back and they look at these things, and I don't think they're not. Look, there's a way to look at something, put it up on scopes. You know, it's just too dark, and it looks too dark. It doesn't look right, and you can see that immediately. And I don't know why it's like that, to be honest. I really don't.
Justin, thank you so much. We are going to proceed with Ole. You should be able to unmute now. Are you there, Ole?
Yes.
How's it going?
I'm doing fine.
Where are you coming to us from?
Actually, I'm coming from Spain.
Nice. Where in Spain?
The Gran Canaria Islands.
Oh, I interviewed a costume designer, and it's going to be on tomorrow. Paco Delgado, who was born on the Canary Islands. He's from Lazola. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he grew up there, and he just finished. He was a costume designer on John Wick 4, and I interviewed. He did recently. He did Jungle Cruise, and he did Death on the Nile for Kenneth Branagh. But he's actually born and bred. He lived on the Canary Islands till he was 16, and then it's it's funny. I'm involved in a new film project, and I was talking to a Spanish director friend of mine who might work on it. He was saying that there's a place to go to the Canary Islands that has a volume stage, like where they shoot The Mandalorian, and like the LED screens somewhere on the Canary Islands. And I'm like, really? Well, that's cool.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, all right then. So if we shoot in Barcelona, we can go to the Canary Islands and use their volume stage.
It's been raining like fuck for a couple of days. It's really not nice.
But you got good internet.
You were talking about the Queen during the Second World War, and I've seen she's been getting some criticisms.
Yeah, a lot of criticism.
Do you know how old the Queen was when the Second World War started?
Yeah, she was a teenager. She was
for a TV.
Yeah, she was a teenager. Yeah, she was just because she became queen at 25 in 52.
Yeah, I was just thinking, what did I do when I was 13? It was like I watched a couple of episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. It's. I mean, obviously, she was born into royalty, and then the king abdicated the throne, and that's how she became queen, because the king abdicated.
No.
Was it not that way?
The king died.
Oh, he did die.
He had lung cancer and he died. Actually, the queen was I think it was in Africa somewhere, and they got notified.
That's right. Because the king before the king abdicated.
And this is a true story. And when she came down, she was queen.
Right. Yeah, she lived a very interesting life.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, how would you feel if you were 73 years old, like King Charles is, and given that sort of responsibility?
I can't even imagine.
I was like, I'm 40 years old this year, and I'm like, if I was turned to king this year, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, what would you do? Like it's a really interesting it's a really interesting position for him to be in. Like, he doesn't have a choice. He can't be like, nah, I don't want to be. I mean,
and this is it's been because the Norwegian princess, she's turned 18 and she has a boyfriend as all 18-year-olds.
Right.
And she's going to be queen when, well, she's third in the line.
Yeah,
but of course, who is the boyfriend? That's been a big criticism. Why the media is interested in this. That guy is going to be the king.
Well, don't they have to get married, of course, you know?
Yeah, of course, but it has a national interest.
Yeah, can you imagine being
old.
being 18 and the press is like hounding you, wondering who your boyfriend is because you're going to be the queen? Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Look, man, we just want to go to a club and go dancing. Can't we just do that? Can't we just go and dance?
I just want to have fun. I'm 18, like.
Yeah, and it's so weird because it's hard to believe that we still have monarchies in this day and age, like social media and Instagram, and yet there are, and these monarchies go back. What is the Queen's line goes back hundreds of years. It's so strange to think that we still have monarchies, but we do, and we do. And the UK monarchy isn't the only one. So
no, we have it in Norwegian.
Yeah.
I've been on your stream several times on the Norwegian Kryptonian. No.
Yes, and it's good to see you. And also Terje, I don't know where Terje is, but he's my other Norwegian friend who I've known for years, actually 2 decades now. Terje came down from Norway and met me in London 10 years ago, and we went and saw Skyfall together in Leicester Square on opening day.
True story. I found Terje on Facebook, and we have common friends.
Really? That's amazing. Terje is great.
Yeah.
It took me forever to learn how to pronounce his name. I used to just call him Terje.
I couldn't call Terje.
Yeah, Terje. I couldn't pronounce it. Couldn't do it. So what do you do? What do you do in the Canary Islands? How'd you find it? Oh, okay. I thought you were like living there.
No. I live in Norway.
Okay, so you came to the Canary Islands for sun and the beach, and it's been raining the whole time?
No, just a weekend.
Oh, that's good. How far away is like when you go to the Canary Islands? Can you fly direct from Norway to the Canary Islands?
I flew from Oslo. It's like a 5-hour flight.
Okay, that's not bad.
Be like, I think if you go from LA to Honolulu or something like that, it's around, give or take.
That's not bad. 5 hours. Yeah, that's like LA to Hawaii. I mean, it is just like LA to Hawaii.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, well, it's good. So now I'm looking at the Canary Islands right now. What island are you? Where are you in the Canary Islands?
It's a Puerto Rico place.
Okay. Wow, I didn't realize that this is great.
Yeah, it's a big volcano.
Right, exactly. Wow, it looks beautiful. I want to go.
So just because I went on our stream, and I popped in a chat, and I said regarding the not House of the Dragon, but the Lord of the Rings show.
Right.
And I said that if you want to produce a show like this, you need to make the viewer like the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of Rings. You watch 5 seconds of that, and you're like, you're going through all the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're finishing this. But from what I don't have Amazon Prime. But from what I understand, you're 5 episodes in, and nothing's happened. And when you have a medieval show like this, you need to captivate the viewer from the get-go.
100%.
You can't go 5 hours in this. We're going to the pub now, and you know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
So I watched House of the Dragon, and you're there.
I
You're
completely agree.
And whether it's sci-fi or any fiction show, really, you need to captivate the audience right away. You can't just, oh no, nothing's going to happen now for 5 hours.
Right.
Well, you said on the John Campier show that you still don't know what this show is about, or something like that.
It's true, and I don't.
Going. And that's a bit of a shame.
I mean, the thing is, we do know that they're gonna, it's the battle. They're gonna forge the rings, and they go to war with Sauron. But I'm like, well, other than that, I already know that, and I already saw the end of that battle at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring. We see that Sauron gets defeated. Isildur, cuts the ring from Sauron's hand, and it corrupts him, and that's we're off to the races. I still don't know why I'm watching Rings of Power. What is it about this story that is compelling to me? And to be honest, I don't know. I can't tell you. And whereas House of the Dragon, I can't get enough of it.
No, it's like I had absolutely no expectations for this House of the Dragon show, but now I'm like, I cannot stop watching this show.
No, and it goes too fast. When it's over, I'm like, but that's it, and I want to see more. Show me more. And I can't wait, because in 2 hours I can watch it. I can watch more House of the Dragon.
All right, Ole, thank you so much.
Good to see you. Have safe travels back from the Canary Islands.
Hope the weather turns for you. And here is Yash. And I'm sorry, Yash, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce your last name, and I hope I pronounced your first name correctly. So you should be able... Oh, hold on. You should be able to unmute now, Yash.
We can hear you, but your volume's low.
Okay, give me a second.
But that's okay.
Can you hear me a little bit better right now, or no?
Yeah, I can't. We can't. It's really, really low.
Okay, let me just adjust the audio settings.
I don't know why we can't hear you.
Yeah, it sounds like you're far away from the microphone.
Yeah.
I might be using my microphone.
Yeah, we can hear you. You're better now. You're close, but we still can barely hear you.
Okay, hold on.
That's good. Now we can hear you.
Now we can hear you.
Now we can hear you.
I switched it over to my AirPods. Sorry, like it was using my MacBook.
Oh.
All right, can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you and hear you.
All right, nice to see you guys. It's the first time actually talking.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for being a member.
Good to see you. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. No. It took me a second to figure out how to do it. When you try doing it on the mobile app, it's not as easy as doing it on your desktop or something. So
Right. Yeah, I know.
But yeah, no, it was great. Yeah, like it's good to be here. I can't believe it's been like 2 hours now of just being in the stream. I was like, shit, I don't even know if I was gonna make it or not.
What? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm coming from Toronto.
Oh, nice.
Toronto.
Good Canadian kid.
Good Canadian kid, yeah, to the core. Yeah, like I'm from a place called Mississauga. It's just maybe like 20-30 minutes from downtown Toronto. So
now, did you go to the Toronto Film Festival at all?
I did, actually, believe it or not. It was my first time actually going
Wow.
this year. Because for the past 2 years, I mean, I just finished college like just maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and then COVID hit. And then like now when I was trying to go, they're doing things online, and this is the first year where you could actually go full force like it was normal again.
Right.
So it was and there's a lot of great movies this year too, actually worth watching. So
There was a lot. What did you see?
So my brother surprised me. He bought me tickets. Me and him went to go watch the new Knives Out. We saw Glass Onion.
Oh, how was it?
So it's great because in Toronto for TIFF they have all these different venues, right? So there's a place in Toronto called Ontario Place. Ontario's the province, or like our quote unquote state.
Yeah.
And they have like this huge. They have there is actually the first ever I think full-fledged IMAX Omnidome ever in the world. It was built in Toronto. So anyway, so they had a screening there basically. So yeah, I saw it in this huge, just like the biggest form of IMAX you could think of. and it was fully packed crowd and just cinephiles everywhere. So it was really cool. But me and my brother just like, actually, funny enough, my whole love for film came really from watching John Campia's stuff early, like on AMC.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it sort of just, it grew from there and grew from there and grew from there, ultimately leading to this whole, like, my first ever TIFF thing. So it was kind of a big deal in a weird way.
That's great.
The movie itself was awesome. I think it's just as good as the first. It's kind of sad because watching it with a crowd, like there was an energy that you were feeling with everyone watching it that you weren't getting, that you won't get when you see it on Netflix. I fear.
No, I mean, they're
But-
releasing it theatrically, but you know, Netflix, or at least they want to release it theatrically. But the problem with Netflix is they don't have a marketing team. They can't market a film theatrical because they don't have that marketing team. They don't have those marketing dollars. And that's the big bone of contention between theaters. Theaters want to put Glass Onion in theaters, but if nobody knows it's there, no one's going to show up to see it. So they want them to spend a certain amount of money on marketing the film. And you're talking tens of millions of dollars. And Netflix is like, we don't have that. We don't have a marketing team that does that.
It's weird because in at least in Toronto, like in the GTA, like the Greater Toronto area, we have like there's one movie theater that does play Netflix films. Like I actually watched Red Notice at a movie theater.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it
they're
wasn't-
releasing that, but yeah.
Yeah, they release movies sometimes. I'd hope that because here, like the main, like our version of AMC is called Cineplex, right? And
Right.
like they never have, like I'd hope that they get a special screening, like at least they're not going to have the most show times like a normal theatrical release would, but they'd have a specialty screening where you can at least catch it maybe once or twice, so that the people that really want to see it in a movie theater can see it in a movie theater.
Right.
And the first Knives Out made 170 million domestically. It was
Yeah,
a
and that's
pretty
why
big- it was-
they spent a lot of money to acquire the rights to make these other two sequels, and you'd think that they would want to get those movies out in theaters and spend the cash.
I think they would love to. It's so, I guess because for rights reasons, and they spent so much money to make it exclusive. I think the higher ups at Netflix are a little like I know for The Irishman they did specialty screenings. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. Maybe if they don't, I hope in at least in America people get a chance to see it in the movie theater, because I think it doesn't really feel like a Netflix movie in a lot of ways.
Right.
Even though they have those special, Netflix has that stupid rule where they have to do the color grading and they have to really make things for TV, for 4K TV. They have that,
Yes.
that guideline, right?
Yes.
It's very frustrating because you can tell their movies look a little oversaturated and the colors don't feel authentic to maybe what the films are trying to portray sometimes.
Yep.
And maybe Glass Onion has a little bit of that, where it's like it's almost like looking at a Samsung phone where it's just hyper contrasty versus like an iPhone where it's just very like natural and like true to life, the colors, at least on
Yep.
the displays. So, well, that's how I kind of internalize it mentally. But yeah, like there's that pop that you see in the trailer that wasn't necessarily there in the first movie, where it was more gray and greens, and you had those like had more of like a film cinematic sort of feel. It definitely does. It's just, yeah, like I think my point was, I was saying that yeah, like the way it's filmed is still very great. Like it looked great on a big screen. The actors were great, the performances, everything. Like I'd highly recommend it. You'll love it, Rob, I think.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited, actually.
Yeah. Another question. Yeah, Rob. Like I sometimes kind of find myself like getting caught up, but like your knowledge of film is absolutely outstanding. Like I just love learning stuff from you sometimes.
Oh, that's it's a lifelong avocation. I never stop filling my head.
I mean, this summer, I think I watched, I think, because in Canada, they released their version of A-List where you could start watching movies multiple times a week. It's called Cine Club. So this year, especially more than any other year, I've been watching everything I can in movie theater. So I saw Barbarian. I just watched Pearl last week.
Oh, how'd you like Pearl?
I loved Pearl. I saw X as well earlier this year. So having the sequel come so quick was just great, because Mia Goth is such a great actor. She's
crazy.
Gonna be that. She is so good. Like there's not a lot of people that can reach that level of like anger and just that one. Have you seen Pearl? You've seen Pearl.
I have not seen Pearl yet. I've seen X.
Oh, okay. So there's a great scene, a monologue that she has in Pearl, at least, that just the acting alone, it's just a close up on her face the whole time. Just get that close up, and I was like, wow, like I was astounded by her performance. It should be up there for Best Actress, but you know how Academy politics are. You're never gonna get what you want.
Yeah, sure.
But Pearl was great. Barbarian was another great indie sort of horror movie I saw. Loved it. It's a bodies.
Yeah.
But the most surprising thing to me this year that I watched a lot of was, I think I saw Top Gun Maverick around 14 times. which is kind of insane because I've never watched a movie that much in my life. Like
Sure.
The Dark Knight is probably the closest thing I got to, and theatrically I probably saw it once. Which is because it was 2008. I was like 11 years old. I'm like 25.
Sure.
So when it came out in 2008, I'm like, okay, I went opening night though, which was pretty impressive. That's like a kind of big feat at the time. But that like there hasn't been that many movies that really get me engaged in a way. Like that whole movie top to bottom is so well executed. Like Tom Cruise he might be a Scientologist, but he's doing the God's work when it comes to cinema, especially action cinema. Because
I mean, I agree. He's fantastic.
I mean, and the dedication, like the way that he got, like every ounce and sweat and drip of effort that they put into that movie, you felt it watching it. Like it was so finely tuned, and it's very rare to find that kind of level of filmmaking. I think especially nowadays in modern day filmmaking, they don't hit the same. It's really tough. Like making a great movie is tough as it is, but to do it with the level of resources that movies have nowadays, like think about the budget for Independence Day Resurgence. It was more than I think than Top Gun Maverick. And I don't really like Independence Day, but
I mean, I like
$250 million.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
No, I mean, Independence Day Resurgence. I love Independence Day, and Independence Day Resurgence started out okay, but boy,
yeah. But you understand where I'm coming from, where they have like a 200-something plus million odd dollar budget to make these huge movies. And I feel like every time they squander, like the Jurassic World movies are another example of that, where it's like you get these unlimited budgets. And I feel like you're doing the laziest form of filmmaking, where it's just like, there's just elements that you need to add, like little character moments, little things that really make it. And it's tough, like to make a cohesive film of any kind. But the way that Tom Cruise puts the effort in, like Top Gun Maverick, like every moment of that movie was I was just on the edge of my seat. Like that first 10 minutes, I was just like, when he's just like trying to go Mach 10, I'm like, God damn it. Like they don't make movies like this. Like it really got to my core. Like Dune was close. Dune. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're watching here's the thing that I feel that we're missing, especially from studio. The thing is, studio movies are so expensive now. There's so much risk. I mean, they're making $150 and $200 million movies that they're going to spend another $100 million on marketing. So you've got these $300 million at bats, and you have to hit a home run every time. So the problem is all these people get to weigh in on the movies that are being made. And rightfully so, the studios but the people that are weighing in are not people that make films. So they're weighing in and they're giving you their opinion, which is not based on actually having made films. It's based on analytics and things that they're watching. And when it comes right down to it, if you looked at the actual analytics of Top Gun, no one could have, I don't care who they are, no one ever would have predicted that it was going to make $1.4 billion. No one. I thought it would make $100 million opening weekend, and everybody told me I was crazy because Tom Cruise movies had never opened to $100 million ever. He'd never had a $100 million opening ever. Not the Mission Impossible movies, nothing. And I said, I don't know. I said it on the Campia show. I said, I think Top Gun, I had no idea, no clue where it was going to go. But here we are. But I think that's the real problem. The problem is when you look at a movie like Jurassic World Dominion, I'm like, why is this the movie that you made? You've got the premise of dinosaurs are real. They've overrun the world. We either have to figure out how to coexist or cede the planet to them. I mean, and the story they told to tell us was such a contrived, well, they're taking Blue's kid away. Like, what? There's flying mutant locusts, whatever. What is this movie even about? I want to see people in cities getting eaten by dinosaurs. I want to see petrodactyls taking out aircraft. I want to see, and human beings have to figure out, well, what the fuck are we going to do? Life sure found a way. Now what? And I just feel like they have to come up with some kind of, we've got to come up with some kind of a quest, a hero story. It's like, come on, man, that's not what people want to see. I mean, I would have, if I had made a Jurassic World Dominion, I would have set it like 30 or 40, 50 years, 100 years later from the last Jurassic Park movie. The world is completely overrun, and humanity, what's left of humanity, is sitting there fighting their way, trying to eke out a meager existence. They're living underground or whatever, and you make it like aliens. You have strike teams going after these mutated dinosaurs, but then you couldn't bring back Bryce Dallas Howard in. But it would have been cool.
Thank you so much, Yash. Yeah, Rob, Planet of the Apes with dinosaurs. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
I neglected to go over some super chats earlier. Let me go ahead and, first of all, Random Polygon became a YouTube member. So welcome.
Thank you, Random Polygon.
Agent Silver Fox. Rob, I have a Playboy Mansion flex for you. Would love your thoughts if I sent my photo. So.
Well, sent it. I went to 2 parties at Playboy Mansion, and both of them were memorable.
We have
one day in person. If you ever see me, ask me about the Martin Landau story from the Playboy Mansion.
That's one that you've always alluded to, but it has to be told in person.
Yeah, you got to be told in person.
This was in response, I think, to Pedro earlier, Pedro Ferreira. Same here. I have Asperger's. When I type into shows on YouTube, not too many people understand what I put out there. So he sent $5 there to communicate that comment. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. Thank you for that.
£5, I should say. And also from V, Netflix, what wants you to find anything yourself, like looking through a Blockbuster store. They want you to look through their content. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want you to go to the theaters for that.
No, yeah.
Rob, I don't know if you're keeping track of the scores, but it's not looking good for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Damn it.
All right. Oh. We got Jonathan Welback. Two more callers on the line. Jonathan, is it Wheelbacker? I apologize if I mispronounced that, but you should be good to unmute now.
Wait, the game's delayed. The Seahawks game's delayed. Why are they delayed? Is that a delay a game on the field or what?
I don't know. I'll find out for you.
It's only 27-23. There's time. We got time. What are you going to do? Anyway.
Jonathan, are you there? Oh, there you are.
Yep. Yeah, and it's pronounced Wallbacker.
Wallbacker. You told me that once before. And I never get it right.
I mean, I couldn't spell till I was in the 8 years old. So everyone has a lot of grace period for me.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you, sir. How are you today?
Well, if the Seahawks lose, I'm going to feel bad, but hey, what are you going to do? I feel pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, the Saints shit the bed today, so I'm already on the whiskey. I had a couple things. One, I wanted to circle back on Thor: Love and Thunder, your favorite movie.
Oh my God.
Mostly because I'm actually of the opposite opinion. I thought it was tremendous. And there's a part of why it connected with me that I don't really see anyone talking about. So I figured, why not do it here?
Why not?
One of the things that I got the most out of is there is a underlying theme throughout the entire movie that touches on storytelling at both small scale and large scale, with mythology and gods, all the way down to the kids in the cage telling stories to one another and everything. That concluded, I thought, pretty brilliantly with one of the most iconic ways kids tell stories, which is pick up whatever you find on the ground and start fighting.
Right.
And playing that November Rain riff, it all kind of came together and just really, really was quite powerful. And I won't lie, I mean, it was a little emotional, especially once it got all the way to the end with the character Love and that little hint of what that relationship might be. So it really worked on a deeper level than just sort of the jokes. And I listen, don't yuck on people's yum. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's nothing's for everyone. I'm just one of those weird, unique creatures that legitimately loves most things that I see, because if something impacts me in some way, even if it's 1/10 of the entirety of it,
right,
like I'm endeared to it. And so it really worked well for me, and it's just not an aspect of it I hear talked about very much. So I'm curious your take.
No, I mean, I think that's legitimate. I would buy that. I mean, look, I'm when I see a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, I'm judging it also not just on itself, but where it fits. Like, look, it was Marvel that decided to tell these stories and make these phases and have a long a meta arc, or not a meta arc, but an arc that is going through all their movies. And they decided to call this the multiverse saga. And I think the thing that bothered me about like, I'm a stickler for tone. And for me, I thought that the overall tone, first of all, the tone of Love and Thunder was schizophrenic, because, at least for me, because they're dealing with some really heavy issues that I really liked. I mean, a man who renounces his own gods because they've allowed his wife and child to die. I mean, this is a classic setup for a story, being Gore the God Butcher. And, you're dealing with faith and loss and belief. And I love all of that. And I wanted it to go somewhere. And then, you introduce these other gods, like if you're going to introduce Zeus and all of these things, I just didn't feel there. It could have been a really interesting, cohesive, insightful fantasy epic that I thought had a lot to say within the confines. Because look, Thor: Love and Thunder is not happening in a vacuum. We've now seen Egyptian gods in Moon Knight. We've had other gods alluded to with Gore the God Butcher. You've got Celestials, which for all intents and purposes are gods. And I'm wondering, where is all this going in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? How do the gods, as portrayed in Love and Thunder, how do they relate to the Celestials? How do they relate to the Egyptian gods? And what does this all mean in the larger MCU? And I really think that one of the problems with the MCU in Phase 4 is that none of it's felt at all connected. And I threw out this idea that I'm beginning to suspect that because this is the multiverse saga, the stories that we've been watching, the movies in Phase 4, none of them take place in the same dimensions. Like the Eternals is not the MCU Earth. I mean, it's Unearth that has various aspects of the MCU, but I think our Earth, if it's 616, we've been watching movies that take place on different Earths. Now, this is just my own theory, because they've not connected. They've not connected any of these stories. Like if a Celestial is going to come to Earth and reveal itself to the planet, that would have a profound impact on humanity. And we never hear about it again. There's no repercussions. And I feel that all of the events of in Egypt, they would have had a mass casualty event with all the people's souls that were being eaten by Amet. As Amet and Khonshu were battling, no one said a word. And I wonder what it all means. And when I'm watching Love and Thunder, I understand where you're coming from. But if the opening, when Thor, that temple, like I said earlier, when it gets destroyed, it's also glib and flippant. And I'm like, this is not how I would have gone about this movie. And I understand what you're saying. Like if this was presented as a fairy tale from like Love's point of view, recounting this whole tale, and that's how she understood it in her mind, and that or Korg, how he's telling a story, I could maybe buy off on it. But they wanted to have their cake and eat it too, and that was what kind of bothered me. That's what I wanted more, because there was a lot of, and I'm not saying that Thor: Love and Thunder has to be this profound treatise on existence, but I do want something that's going on that has more to do with the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. I would have liked to have seen more of that. And because I did like Ragnarok. Ragnarok had this balance of Odin dies, like I said, the hammer Mjolnir gets shattered, Asgard is destroyed. And it worked. I thought the balance of the dark with the humor worked really, really well. But I thought it was just it was all over the place in Love and Thunder. And I think what he was trying to do was interesting. I just don't think it entirely succeeded. But I don't disagree with your take on the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's entirely fair too. I mean, for me personally, I give Phase 4 a lot more slack for a couple reasons. One, it's the breadth after the largest cinematic achievement, in terms of scale, probably ever.
I would agree with that. I mean, the monumental. I mean, Endgame's movie 22, and then Spider-Man: Far From Home movie 23, and that's the end of the Infinity Saga. It's a staggering achievement of imaginative fantasy sci-fi cinema. I mean, it truly is. And the amount of movies that are enjoyable, like I find myself, whether it's Iron Man 1, the 3 Captain America movies. Actually, I like all the Iron Man movies the 4 Avengers films. I mean, it's incredible. The Thor movies, I mean, it's incredible what they were able to do. And even the one-offs like Ant-Man 1 and 2 are very enjoyable romps at the movies. And I think that Infinity War and Endgame are an astonishing achievement for a population that grew up watching superhero cartoons. I mean, I certainly did when I was a little kid, and seeing and playing with Mego action figures in the 70s and seeing where we went. I mean, Infinity War and Endgame are astonishing to watch. And so, yeah, you're right. It's a breath, but I think the thing that's missing is they've started I think that the multiverse saga was too much. I think that, like, you watched the Loki series, strained credulity. It pushed the whole idea of the multiverse. It pushed it too far, which might seem silly for me to say after coming off of the Infinity Saga, but with Thanos snapping his fingers and half the universe winking out of existence. I think this is not focused. It's all over the place by definition. What does the multiverse mean? And what does it mean to our characters? On one hand, you have Sam Wilson accepting the mantle of Captain America, and that's a really interesting personal story that relates directly back to the legacy of this country, of the United States. And, we're in real life, it mirrors with the George Floyd and the Black Lives Movement and the what is it, 1612, it's the project, and things that are happening in the real world right now are definitely being reflected in a movie like or in a series like Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now it's Captain America and Winter Soldier. That's, I thought, a really relevant story. But how does that fit into Loki and the multiverse saga?
Well, I think you need to, I think by announcing the multiverse saga at Comic-Con, I think is comparatively premature, because we didn't really realize we were in the Infinity Saga until
I don't think they did either.
For sure. No, 100%. They kind of thought they would get to Avengers. And then when that was huge, then they kind of figured out, okay, now what do we do? And really, a lot of Phase 2 is wonky, as they were trying to figure out how to connect some dots and put transitional pieces in place to get to where they wanted to get. And then I think by the time you get to Phase 3, confidence reigns and all the pieces are coming together. I think if you look at the multiverse saga, though, it is not just Phase 4. It is a macro all the way through Phase 6. And I don't know if I buy your theory per se. I love it, but I don't know if that's where they're going to go. But I do think what we think of multiverse today is not what we're going to think of multiverse by the time we get to Kang Dynasty. I think they're going to elaborate. And I like that they're doing other things like Falcon and the Winter Soldier to set up foundation for Cap 4, which is going to take a lot of those through lines. I love that they're bringing Carl Lumley back. You're going to get a lot more of that level of storytelling. And then introducing the intelligentsia as a disinformation 4chan Reddit thing, which works as a joke in the confines of She-Hulk because of all the other sort of parallels to reaction. But then moving into New World Order for Cap 4, if that builds up into they're using disinformation to try to change or bring power about, that I think could be very powerful in a lot of the same ways that Winter Soldier was powerful in terms of, taking down what we thought we knew about S.H.I.E.L.D. So I think that there's a lot of foundational pieces in place that we just don't know what they're doing. And Feige has my trust. I don't know exactly all these threads, and every time something new comes out, I think a little more is peeled away. But I think that that's what's so exciting for me about moving forward and getting past Phase 4. Because I will be grateful to be past Phase 4, because it is, as you said, a mixed bag, even for someone that loves everything.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to grow in confidence and momentum, and I think we're going to, hopefully, it's not going to be like Infinity War again for the next 2 Avengers films. But if we can capture some of that with bringing all these disparate pieces together, I think we're going to be looking at another, how the hell did Feige do it kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so, but I think that they've also, Moon Knight. I'm a huge Moon Knight fan, and I think they made a really big mistake going in the direction they went in with that Moon Knight iteration, because I don't think it was at all successful, and it turned into something it shouldn't have been. It took the focus away from Moon Knight himself, and now we're watching the battling of these 2 Egyptian gods, which leaves fans and myself wondering, now what is my takeaway from this? Are now battling Egyptian gods becoming a big thing in the MCU? Did any of that even happen? And if it didn't, why were we watching this show? And so, and Hawkeye as well. The Hawkeye show had certain things. I mean, I know it was based on the Matt Faction run, but I watched that and I'm like, did that really tell us anything about Hawkeye? Did we gain any insight after what? I love Kate Bishop, but I kind of think, why didn't they just go ahead and make a Kate Bishop story on her own? Why make it a Hawkeye? I understand. I just feel that these shows are far less focused as stories than Marvel phases 1 through 3, where even the movies that aren't so great, like Iron Man 2, are still pretty great. You still watching Rhodey and Tony Stark battle Justin Hammer's robots at the end back to back was badass.
Thanks so much, Jonathan. And our last caller today is Blue Sunrise. You should be able to unmute now, Blue.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Rob? How's it going?
What's going on, man?
It's been a minute since I've been able to make it to one of these. I'm glad I got to make it to this one.
Yeah, thanks for hanging around.
Yeah, totally, no problem. So first off, to start off, I wanted to say, have you seen Cyberpunk Edge Runners on Netflix?
You know what, people? That's the animated series.
Yeah,
people have been telling me it's great. I have not watched it yet.
It's amazing.
That's what people say.
I mean, forget House of the Dragon, forget everything else. I think this is the best show out this year. It's incredible. It has I think it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. There's not a single negative review for it. Every review I've seen is positive. It's crazy. I didn't expect this to be that good. It totally came out of nowhere.
Well, you having worked on a Netflix animated show, there's a lot of oversight on these shows. Definitely Netflix, working on Dota, Dragon's Blood for 3 years. Yeah. There's a lot of oversight. And I think, it's truly collaborative with both the game, because we had to deal with the game company Valve and they got to weigh in, Netflix got to weigh in, and then Ashley, the creator of the show, obviously weighed in. So there's definitely a lot of oversight. So it would surprise me if a bad animated series got made.
Yeah, they do have a lot of good animes on there, but this one's something special. You don't have to play the game or even like the game. You just watch this show and you'll fall in love with it.
Yeah, I'm really
excited.
excited.
Blade Runner on steroids. It's fucking cool.
Yeah, I can't wait. And now there's going to be a new Blade Runner series too in live action.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be any good, but it could be good.
This show it's an emotional roller coaster. It takes you up and down and all around, and the cast is amazing. The voice acting is fantastic, both in the Japanese and the English dub.
Wow.
Characters.
Well, that's good.
Likable.
I mean, that's good to hear. It's good to hear that, that it is a good show.
Made me laugh, made me cry. Oh, I loved it. And it's, they're 20-minute episodes. It's a 10-episode series. And if you watch it all the way through, it's kind of like a 3-hour movie.
Right.
and it oh man, it's so good. I can't stop gushing about it.
Yeah, I mean I can't wait. I'll watch it. But you're like the fourth person that's told me how great it is. So I definitely
Not
have to go check
surprised
it
there.
out. Yeah.
I mean, I know you're a fan of Akira. There's some serious Akira vibes when you watch it too, with like the dystopian cybernetic future, and all the like the crime.
Yeah, I mean, I love all that, and I love the Akira. I've read the whole manga, and so I'm a big fan. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I gotta watch because it's reaching a fever pitch of people telling me that I have to see this show.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're really, really gonna like. I know you're a big anime fan, and you really like that kind of genre with the sci-fi. Oh, it's the
yeah. I mean, that's it. I'm a sci-fi anime guy, and I really love. I love giant. First the real robot and super robot genre. Was my favorite, and then the original space battleship Yamato and Speed Racer and everything. That's how I got into it.
All great shows.
Yeah,
all fantastic.
And then obviously in the 80s you had Macross, aka Robotech. But I love Macross and all those shows. And then my favorite anime of all time is Legends of the Galactic Heroes, which is one of the great. I mean, it's not very well known in the West, but it's the greatest space opera. Arguably, it's one of the greatest space operas ever committed to film.
That's one I haven't seen, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Oh, it's and they're doing a remake. They're in the middle of doing a remake. I'm talking about the original. I mean, Sentai Filmworks put out the most expensive Blu-ray set I ever bought was the entire Legends of the Galactic Heroes set. It was $800. It's like, yeah, I'm like, what the hell? But I had to have it. I'm like, I have to have this. And one day I might rewatch it with somebody, but it's hard to get people to commit. Like if somebody gave me an unlimited amount of money and said you can make anything you want for TV right now, what would you make? I would make Legends of the Galactic Heroes. I would retitle it.
Oh, that would be cool. I'd watch that.
I would totally make it in live action. You could totally do it in live action. It'd be amazing. And with the technology that exists now.
Yeah, I feel like some animes are it's just obvious how well.
Well, the real problem when you're dealing with the Japanese, the problem with dealing with the Japanese is the rights issues. It's really difficult because a lot of the time the rights are owned by multiple companies. And it's really difficult securing the rights to Japanese property.
Is that why I keep hearing about the Robotech movie? Like it's all off and on again and off and on again with the production of that.
Well, I think the real problem with the Robotech movie obviously Robotech. Robotech was 3 shows. It was Robotech. It was Genesis Climber, Malspeeda, and Southern Cross, and the proto culture and all that. They linked them together. So that was problematic, but really, I think they're trying to adapt Macross. That's what they really want to do. But I think that the problem with Macross is if you look at it in this day and age, how do you turn that into a movie or a series that modern audience will? Because it's kind of the sci-fi elements of it and the mecha elements of it are really cool, but then the teenage romance, Lin Min Mei, and all that stuff gets a little. It's goofy, but then at the same time, you have the sacrifice of characters and Roy Fokker and all that.
Yeah,
I think the problem is, and we've seen it. We've seen this the whether it's Cowboy Bebop, whether it's Ghost in the Shell. It's really difficult to have a Western company or Western filmmakers try and translate something that's inherently very Asian in its sensibilities, and convert it into. It really is like I've often said. As much as I love Space Battleship Yamato, they've always been trying to do Star Blazers. Like, how would you do it in America? Well, we'll make it the USS Arizona. And I've often said, I think American audiences would have a very difficult, or Western audiences in general, would have a very difficult time believing that they would dredge up a World War II battleship from the bottom of the ocean and turn it into a spacefaring ship where the hope of mankind is residing. because
Yeah,
there's a whimsy in Asian culture, and especially in Japanese culture, about how they anthropomorphize machines. We don't have that in this country, and I really think that one of the biggest problems, and one of the big problems about adapting anything from anime or manga or anime. I mean, can you imagine trying to do Howl's Moving Castle in English?
in live action.
In
that
live
would be-
action?
yeah.
It would be, I mean, you could probably do something like that, but the whimsy in it would be very difficult to pull off.
It would.
And I think that's the inherent problem about why we don't see more. And by the way, it's a sensibility that that's why manga is kicking the American comic books industry its ass, because younger people do have that sensibility. I'll bet in 20 years,
Oh yeah,
it'll be much easier to do a manga adaptation and make it work, because that sensibility, it's I talked to John Campea about, he tried to watch the Indian film RRR that everyone's talking about.
Right.
Well, that's another movie. Unless you readjust your thought process, it's very hard for somebody who grew up with American action cinema to then buy into there is a whimsy to RRR that only exists in Bollywood cinema. And if you're not willing to submit to that, because I've talked to some people that just can't buy into the way RRR is staged for an American audience. It's hard.
It's kind of like musicals, right? Like you have to be ready to, okay, this is a musical. It's different
You're
from
exactly
your traditional
right.
movie.
Yep. And there's a lot of people that hate musicals for that very reason.
Mm-hmm.
They can't deal with, because musicals are inherently whimsical.
Yeah.
And unless you're willing to buy into it as a form, it's very difficult for some people to accept. I think the same is true of people that grew up listening to pop music. It's hard for them to listen to country music, as a genre, not just the instrumentation, but the actual, what it's all about. And I think that now we have our younger people, Gen Z, they grew up with anime and they grew up with manga and they grew up with an Eastern sensibility that's part of their daily lives. And even
totally.
the way that manga or Japanese anime plays with gender is
Pokemon
something
played a big role in that.
yeah. And that was something that I don't think
Cultural
is
phenomenon.
Yeah. And I don't think it's talked about enough. And I don't think it's really understood. But I think that when they try and make these movies, you've got studio executives that are probably reading these manga scripts or scripts that are based on anime or manga going, what the fuck is this? Because they just don't know. I mean, it's hard enough for anybody to make good Star Trek, but trying to make a good anime adaptation here, that's I can't even. I keep thinking about what it would be like to try and make an Evangelion movie. Like, I love Evangelion. I can't even imagine trying to pitch that to an American executive. Like, how would you? Well, there's these angels and there's these Eva suits, and how's that going to work? I mean, I can't even. I wouldn't even want to attempt it.
Thank you so much, Blue. Rob, yeah, I think the closest thing was like Battle Angel Alita, and even something like that. You can see how difficult it was to kind of get it to be.
And the funny thing about that was so many concepts that were in Battle Angel Alita have been taken away for Western science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So over the end, because Cameron wanted to do that 25 years ago, and he was a producer on that movie, and they finally got around, and that was pretty palatable. I liked Battle Angel Alita, but a lot of the concepts were familiar already because they had been done in other forms of Western science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah. All right. That's it for today, Rob.
Well, first of all, Roberto, I can't thank you enough for hosting these chats. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that. I want to thank everybody that was here, that participated. Thank you all, first of all, for being members of the channel, continuing to support the channel. And I love these. We got to do more of these chats like every other week. It's great to have you all here. Thanks for being here. Tom Jr. Jackson, by the way, says he's interested in seeing the live action One Piece. I can't. Me too. I'm. How are they going to do that? I mean, there's over 1,000 episodes of the anime. I mean, it's going to be incredible. But I want to thank all of you. I mean, I still think that we have the best community on YouTube. At least the most cordial and nicest bunch of folks. Tomorrow at 3:00 Pacific time, our new episode is going to be on the channel, so look out for that. I'm going to try and do at least 2 observations this week. I hope I can. A new episode of Designing Hollywood drops tomorrow with Paco Delgado, the Spanish costume designer who did John Wick 4. And yeah, so
you got a busy schedule ahead, plus all of your Campia shows on top of that.
I mean, they're a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
So much, and I like the structure. So I will see you all. I must go eat lunch. I'm going to die.
It's a little Linner, right? The brunch version of lunch and dinner.
Linner, yeah. I mean, I've been talking on YouTube for 6.5 hours. So,
all right. Thanks everybody, and thanks Rob.
I will see all of you later. Thanks for being here.